All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back for the final time to the Best in Guild Talandre NA East Championship Series. It has been a very, very long 4 weeks, but here we are at the precipice of the mountain. NA West has concluded. EU has concluded. And by the end of the day today, we will be crowning the kings of NA East. I'm here with Moreland, the GOAT. Are you excited, Moreland?
We've been waiting for these matches, man, and they're finally here. This is it, the best of the best for T2. All these guilds that have been some friends, some enemies, and yeah, they're going to decide it once for all tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I cannot wait. We have 2 best of 3s to decide who takes it home. Technically, we could have 3 best of 3s if we get the full cinematic ending. First up today, we're going to see Exodus versus Hellowing. That is going to determine the loser of that match gets 3rd place. They walk home with nothing but the title of 3rd place in NA East on their back, which is no small slouch. The winners, though, will go on to fight Tyr, who is waiting for them in the finals in the winners bracket. Now, whoever wins this upcoming match is going to have to beat Tyr not once, but 2 times in 2 best of 3 series, because it is a double elimination format. So we could be seeing 3 best of 3s tonight. More likely that we see 2, but hey, you know what? I am all for the cinema ending. We will see. Now, without further ado, let's take a look at the first match of the day, the long-anticipated Hellowing versus Exodus. People have been waiting to see who the stronger guild between these 2 teams is. Exodus from the Ivory server, rank 3 in their alliance. I'm not sure how that is, but you know what? Here they are. If they're honestly, whoever loses today is rank 3 in their alliance. Whoever gets 2nd is rank 2 in their alliance, and whoever wins this tournament is rank 1 in their alliance, because this is all the same alliance, interestingly enough. But this is the best in guild tournament. They're all the guilds are all fighting each other. They aren't even filling from the other rosters because, you know, they're all in the tournament. That's kind of goated, I'll be honest with you. They've only won 1 siege overall. The prediction was top 4, so losing to us is not a good sign. We're a PvE guild, says Exodus.
Yep, and indeed, this will be how we decide who is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd out of these guilds that are fighting tonight. They are going against Hellowing, who is generally considered to be the strongest in the alliance, but as we have seen multiple times throughout this tournament, that is completely up in the air. We are going to be settling that tonight. They are allied with the other 2 remaining guilds, Tyr and Exodus. First on the server in terms of their alliance strength, won many sieges, gone by many names, some of the best players in the game overall. Their chat PvP directed at Supple, who they didn't actually get a chance to fight. Both of their allies knocked Supple out back to back. Exodus and Tyr took Supple out before they got a chance to see Hellowing face to face.
Yeah, absolutely they did. And we have a special treat. We do have interviews with both of these teams here. Moreland, if you want to pop over to the interview channel or just pop on the channel and I'll pull you for the NA East Discord here. We do have interviews with both of the 2 teams before we get started today. So very interesting. Cannot wait to see what they say. We'll pull in Exodus first. This is Exodus. Funk Monk's with us here. Yo, Funk, did you guys expect to make it this far? I know you guys probably did. How are you feeling about today's match?
Yeah, we definitely expected to get this far. This was definitely our bar that we wanted to hit. Today's matches are going to be a lot of fun. I mean, these are guilds that we've fought a lot against in scrims. So, and also they're our allies, so it's going to be fun regardless.
Right.
That's how we're pretty much treating it.
Yeah, super exciting. So so your alliance single-handedly knocked out Supple, which was the defending champions of the Best in Guild T1 tournament, and a guild that I know you guys had a lot of beef with. How did that feel exactly?
I'm gonna be honest, it wasn't surprising for us at all. We went into that match knowing we're gonna win, and so yeah, it felt really good. And I also want to dedicate our victory to all the guilds that Supple were allied with, and they f***ed over. Guilds like Rage, Infamy, Corrupt, Coast. Yeah.
Okay.
Want to dedicate all that.
Thank you so much, Funk. All right, so Funk, you know as much as I do that leadership is a full-time job. Okay, so you've been working a full-time job without getting paid, basically, for the last...
Yeah, we don't have girlfriends, apparently.
Yeah, well, no girlfriends, no jobs, no life, but here you are in the finals. So, I mean, if you're not going to have a girlfriend, you might as well be the best video gamers on the internet. And so you might be here today proving that. What do you think the percentage chance is that you guys win today against Hellowing here?
Oh, it's going to be fun. I mean, we don't know. You know, both our guilds are really strong. So all I can say is we're going to go out there, try our best, and, you know, whatever the outcome is, you know, we had a lot of fun just participating in this tournament, and practicing for it has been a lot of fun for us. I mean, honestly, like, just a constant daily war games has really carried the game for us in the past month. So thanks for hosting the tournament, by the way.
I appreciate you. Yeah, no, it's my pleasure, because I know how much ex-guild leadership myself, I know how much it means to guild leadership to be able to come out and prove to everybody that you are in fact the best, so that those roaches that constantly chat PvP you, they can't run in the tournaments, as people like to say. So really cool. Is there anything you want to say to your other leadership members, your other guild members, that, let's be honest, you guys have been grinding, logging in every day, drift, boonstones, conflict bosses, on that grind to get to the top of the mountain. Finally here today, what do you have to say to the people in your guild that made it here?
I mean, honestly, like, I'm so proud of all the work that we've put in. It's been a grind. When we first started practicing for this tournament, like, we were losing against everybody, right? And it was just constant VOD reviews and constant, like, helping others, like, get better at their classes and working on our macro gameplay that has gotten us this far. So I'm just really proud of all the work and that we've put in, and it's been really fun, guys.
Right on. Well, glad to hear it. I'm rooting for you out there, Funk. Put on a good show for us at the very least. Good luck out there today.
Thanks, man.
All right. And now I'm not sure about this, because this is one of the most controversial members of the PvP scene in NA East, but certainly also one of the best shot callers to play the game in North America here. We have Brandong representing Hellowing. Brandong, how you guys feeling today?
What's up, Baldy? How you doing?
I'm doing good, Brand. Thanks, man.
I didn't know who he was talking
Appreciate
to for a second there.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's great.
Mayhaps both.
How are you guys? How's Hellowing feeling about being in the match today? Also, you know, you guys knocked out, you had the supplest cheeks in the chat PvP there. Your alliance knocked them out of the tournament handedly. Now you're sitting in the third place match, poised to potentially go to the finals here. You guys got to be feeling good about this, since you weren't here for the T1 tournament to rep yourselves. Now you're showing everybody what you guys are made of.
I mean, yeah, very exciting to be here. Honestly, the tournament ended last week for us when we wiped TC from the tournaments. You know, those Nisa guys, those 12 random people, really the downfall of their guild, honestly. So, I mean, it feels good to be here. Hopefully we take the tournament.
Right on. I'm not gonna laugh at that. I'm not laughing at that. Right on. Okay, so
yeah, me neither.
Brandon, you've been here for honestly, you've been here through T1 and everything. You know what it's like to lead a guild and keep your boys logging in, keep them motivated, keep recruiting the best of the best, as it turns out. How did it feel? Honestly, you guys have had quite the run. How did it feel to knock out Take Care after they stole so many members from you?
Oh, history of Hellowing, huh? We've probably imploded about 10 different times. The most recent one was the Nisa members leaving, so I mean, it felt very good to actually beat them on the TC side.
Right on. Really, yeah, no, I'll be honest with you. That was absolute cinema for us here on the desk. What do you have to say to the rest of your guild members that did make it here, that have summited the mountain, that are here on the final day of competition across the world here? Like, as some of the best players in the entire, like, you guys have basically conquered Throne and Liberty here. How does that feel? What do you have to say to them?
Yeah, I mean, I want to thank my guilds for making this possible. They've put a lot of time and effort into this. Probably special thanks to B-Kill for keeping the guild together after I quit the first time. Feck, Taco, and Slip for being officers and helping me a lot. And just everyone else in the guild has been very helpful. Stayed through tough times, and yeah, gonna finish this off today.
Right on. Well, I certainly know a lot about B-Kill, one of the goats of GMing in Black Desert. Certainly no stranger to it, so I'm glad he was able to hold the fort down. Hey, we're gunning for you there today. What do you think the percentage is that you win today against Exodus? Because they seem to think it was going to be 50-50.
You want the PR answer or you want the real answer?
I want the real answer.
No, I'm playing. I mean, honestly, I think it's 50-52. It can go either way. Exodus is a very strong guild. They probably the sweatiest guilds in this tournament, honestly. But hope we give them a good run for their money.
Right on. Well, thanks, Brandon. I appreciate you. Go lead your boys. We're certainly going to be gunning for you on the desk here. You guys were one of my favorites to win the whole thing, so I'd love to see you in the grand finals today. Good luck out there.
All right. See you guys.
See you, man.
All right. Well, you heard it from Brandonger himself, and pick ban has happened. Moreland, you haven't gotten to speak a whole lot recently, so I'll let you cover what the pick ban looks like, because I'll be honest with you, I don't want to say it.
I mean, as soon as I say the guild that won the toss, we know which map it is. Helloing won, which means Exodus banned. The bans are irrelevant because we know where we're going. There's only one map they needed to ban, and they didn't ban it. They banned Dagon, Pikilo, Leviathan, and Azrael, but they left Cherno wide open. I believe Helloing has picked this every opportunity they've had, and so we're going back to Cherno, Blue.
We are somehow going back to Chernobog for... This is the most commonly picked map in NA East. I don't understand it. These guys are clowns. I mean, cue the Benny Hill music on this map. But in fairness, we saw Hellowing play on this map, and Brandonger actually had one of the best strategies we have ever seen on Cherno. We don't talk about strategy on Cherno very often, but having them surge onto the point, they got within striking distance, then popped Guardians and Remedies, surged onto the point all at once, and took it and just basically held down the fort for the remainder of time. So it'll be interesting to see what they have prepared for us today.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it is hard to talk about strategy when it comes to this map, but we saw quite some interesting macro. I mean, some guilds losing on Chernobog that we did not expect to lose. So that is it. It's like we've called it a 50-50 map before, and we call it that for a reason. You cannot predict what is going to happen, and these guilds are already so similar in strength, Blue. This kind of adds even more of that random element to it, but that's how they wanted to play it.
All right, yep, absolutely. Let's take a look at compositions here, because it's very similar across the board. 7 spears to 7 spears. And it looks like 5 crossbows to 3 crossbows, slightly more there for Hellowing. 19 bows to 17, again, slightly more in favor of Hellowing. 3 staffs to 5. That one favors Exodus on the other side of things. And here's the big difference, though, and we're seeing this. There are 21 wands for Hellowing here, but only 18 for Exodus. But there are 20 great swords on the side of Exodus, and there are only 14 great swords on the other side. And again, so we're at 8 and 11 daggers. That's slightly favoring Hellowing there. 16 to 18 SNSs, but the big discrepancy seems to be in the wands and the great swords here.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm looking through, and most of these wands do seem to be seekers. You expect that there might be some Templars or something. I see a Paladin over there, but I think they're really just running a pretty heavy healer comp. I see maybe 1 or 2 Templars. The massive difference in greatswords, though, I think we're really going to see that play out more than anything else, whether it's Gladiators. Ravager has seen some action in this tournament, but we've been surprised at what Gladiators have been able to do in that 48v48 format. It's kind of the best size of fight for them. So, Greatsword gets a lot of mileage out of something like this, and it doesn't surprise me that that is the most common weapon on Exodus's roster right now.
Yep, absolutely. As I give the go-go to the tournament director, it looks like both teams are ready to go on Cherno. I cannot believe that we keep choosing this map, but here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, the third place match of NA East. Finally here, Exodus versus Hellowing. At the end of the day, we will know who the best guild in NA East is. This is a best of 3. So, Moreland, we will see more of these teams right after this match here today as well. I'll be honest, no kill feed quite yet. And then when it does come in, it's been back and forth so far.
It's a bit back and forth, and I think we're going to expect that. This is going to be a close match, Blue. We've seen so many Cherno fights that are just complete blowouts where the feed is one side or the other. Right now, we're seeing it pretty much go down the line 50-50 between both of these guilds. And even if we see one of these guilds start to pull out in early, like it looks like Exodus maybe is pulling a little bit ahead here, it is going to be way too early to call a match like this, especially on Cherno. But these two guilds are both so close in strength. They know that this is the end of the tournament. They've they've had plenty of time to practice this map now. Even if they fall a little bit behind, there's plenty of opportunities for them to rally and take it back.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. That kill feed, I can't hand it to any one guild in particular. I've got B-Blast here, which is one of the best spear daggers in his guild here for Exodus as he rotates around. Exodus certainly has control of the Riftstone right now as Hellowing battles up here, but Hellowing certainly still getting a lot of kills. B-Blast getting focused down, catches the heal from his healer, tries to dive in, gets flipped, immediately backed out, and misses his skill there. So tragic to see that right now, but even the DPS struggling to try to stay in position because the front line keep disrupting them. Now we're seeing that kill feed be a lot more yellow in here as Exodus starts to sweat a little bit.
Yeah, we did hear Brandog refer to these guys as the sweatiest people in the tournament. They've had the last week to practice this map. Maybe they didn't ban it on purpose, Blue. Maybe they were kind of baiting Hellowing into picking this map, knowing that they prefer it. It seems like Exodus has probably gotten some reps on Chernobog since then. Maybe they've adjusted their strategy a little bit because they're looking pretty strong here. They're giving Hellowing a lot of trouble getting back up to the stone.
Yeah, absolutely. But we saw this before as well. I think that we saw this. We saw this in the winners bracket. I forget which team they were actually playing against, but we saw them do this once again as Hellowing basically feigned early aggression, didn't control the stone early on, but then surged right at the end and just ran through their opponents. So we'll see if they're able to pull that off once again here, Moreland.
Yeah, and we saw Exodus do that strategy a few times where they kind of waited a little bit too long to cap. It didn't work here on Cherno, but it did work in their follow-up fight against TC. It's going to be really interesting once the cap goes live. I'm suspecting that neither guild is going to rush for it right away, but are they going to make the mistake of maybe waiting a little bit too long like they did previously? It really all came down to just that one gigantic push last time Exodus fought on the stone, and so as long as they don't get caught off guard, I mean, surely they are not going to lose on the same map in the same fashion twice in a row. That would be quite a way to get knocked out of this tournament.
Surely. And so now memory is returning to me. It was Hellowing versus Exodus, the same two guilds in the winners bracket. Hellowing knocked them out of the winners bracket on Chernobog, and the match looked almost identical to what we're seeing right now, guys. Right at the start of everything, Exodus looked like they had control of it. They looked like they were going to take it home. Both guilds interacted with the point. They were slowly creeping forward, but right before, I would say about the 8-9 minute mark, all of a sudden, Hellowing basically just flipped a switch, popped their Guardians out of nowhere. Exodus was not ready for it, got completely wiped. They took the stone on that push, and Exodus could never recover. They were knocked to the losers bracket. So Exodus on this map favored a little bit, no question. But again, Hellowing chose this. Hopefully, you have to think that that's kind of a nod to their allies, trying to give them flashbacks to Nam a little bit, like, hey, we beat you on this map once before already. We can do it again over here as well, Moreland.
It makes sense. I mean, if you have already beaten them on this map, of course you would pick it again. But Exodus lost on this map and didn't ban it, right? So their confidence is still there. Even though they lost on this map before, they feel like they can fix whatever went wrong last time. And Blue, I think they can fix it because it was really just that one extreme push from Hellowing that knocked them out. I'm sure Exodus went back and watched that VOD over and over again to try to figure out what did they do here to obliterate us, because it was really just that single push. The whole fight was like 50-50 right down the middle, and then one decisive push from Hellowing decided the whole thing. I guarantee you Exodus, the sweatiest guild as we call them here, studied that, and they are not going to let Hellowing do that again, or at least they really don't want to.
Yep, absolutely. And now we have, it looks like Exodus has interacted with the point again. History repeats itself. This is exactly how the last match went down as well. Taco gonna go ahead and get that that initiation on the side of Hellowing, and the percentage for both guilds will begin to climb now. It is 25-16 on the point in favor of Hellowing currently as they pull ahead in percentage. They just need to get within striking distance of this one.
It's so interesting. We're seeing the caps come out around 14 and a half or so this time. Previously, these guilds waited till like the 10, 12-minute mark before they would even consider taking the stone. And then we see Helloing immediately go for the cap as well. Once one guild caps, usually the other guild will immediately go and respond. So now both of them are on the board. If they make this a little too easy, there is a strategy of purposely letting one of the guilds get the cap early. And I wonder if Helloing is going to do that here, Blue. It would actually be kind of clever of them to let Exodus get that early cap. With 12 or 13 minutes left, there is plenty of time for Helloing to slowly creep that stone up over time and cap it in the second half of the match. We're seeing Helloing make a lot of progress, and we're seeing Exodus rather make a lot of progress here, and they don't want that. We've seen Exodus actually jump off of the cap before to slow their progress down. I wonder if they will have the confidence to do that against an opponent as strong as Helloing.
Yeah, absolutely. And look at that percentage shooting up for Exodus right now. Certainly Helloing in a decent amount of trouble, but they could just be intentionally doing this. You see Taco standing off the point right now himself over here. I'm wondering if this is
definitely intentional. Blue, look at the way that Helloing is standing. I wouldn't be surprised if we actually see both guilds start to avoid the point in a second. It's interesting to see how they're macroing here. I don't think Helloing is trying to touch the stone at all.
Yeah, but honestly, so what do you do if you're Exodus in this match right now because Brandog is in your head? Do you just take it? And that's what Exodus is going to do. They're going to just take it. They said, fool me once on this one. So Exodus will take control of the stone, and now it's Taco immediately interacting with it. Now Helloing in the driver's seat for the rest of time. Is Taco going to go down before he takes it? He does get interrupted and blown off the stone right there as he tries to interact with the stone there. We see Stigmates down here on the low ground on this Crusader, and again, just basically look at all this disruption he's able to put down on this low ground for Exodus right now, as the front line is super disruptive on the stone itself, but also constantly interrupting the top DPS on this side of Helloing as they try to get up toward the stone. Helloing did initiate another cap here, and they're rising to 23%. They're in the driver's seat. If I'm Brandonger here, if I'm one of the best shot callers in NA East here, I'm basically feathering this. You get this to like 80, 90% or something, and then you're chilling, Marlon, until like the 5 or so minute mark, and that's when you really want to surge onto the point and get that cap.
Yeah, this is really interesting. I like what Brandong and Helloing are doing here. I think that they were like, yeah, let's just let Exodus, instead of kind of doing the Cherno coin flip, instead of gambling about who was going to be able to get that point first, just give it to Exodus early and give yourself plenty of time. It's so risky to run the clock down and not know if you're going to have time to get the cap off. But if you just let the other team cap early, you have so much time to make a play here. I am a little bit surprised that Exodus just let him do it. Maybe they just didn't have enough time to think about if that was something that they wanted to do or not. I was kind of expecting Exodus to just jump off the cap, but no, they decided to hold it down, and so they're now going to have to go for those disruptions, keep the Helloing tanks off. But we saw Helloing already get through and get that cap going. At this point, it's really just a brawl. It's going to be about who can get more people on the cap for the rest of the fight. That slow crawl is the battle now.
Yeah, absolutely. We say slow crawl. They're at 2% right now. They were shooting up. They almost hit 30%. Now they're going to lose their cap. Oh my goodness. Are they going to save it at less than 1%? No, I don't believe that they will. They're going to snuff this out. And I'm telling you, Exodus, we've seen some of the most interesting strategies of the tournament come out of both of these two guilds. But Exodus, for sure, a step above the rest in terms of how they strategized. We saw on Kawazan, they all I don't know, like a water droplet. They all just left the stone at the exact same time, intentionally not capping it at the last moment to allow that percentage to creep down against Take Care. And then Take Care played their game, and Exodus ended up on top of this one. Clearly, this time, Exodus is trying to, my favorite thing in shot calling, keep it simple, stupid. Their strategy is really simple. If they're going to hand us the cap, we are going to take it, and then we're just going to try to keep them from capping for the rest of time, because see, now Helloing has placed themselves in a situation where they need need to initiate this cap, Moreland. They've got 80, 90. Can they get it? No, it gets interrupted again. You see just how many yellow health bars are interrupting. There's like 8 yellow health bars here dedicated to keeping that stone from being interacted with, because every second that ticks by is a moment that Hellowing is not going to have in order to build that percentage up, Moreland.
Yeah, losing that cap is very bad for Hellowing. It's going to be bad both from a strategic standpoint, but also from a morale standpoint. It's starting to look like they are getting kind of owned by Exodus here, Blue. At the beginning, we could make the argument, okay, Hellowing was intentionally letting Exodus get the early cap so they could respond, but that argument flies out the window once you lose your cap. And Hellowing was able to completely stuff that, or Exodus was able to completely stuff that Hellowing cap all the way down to 0, which is really hard to do against a guild that is equally strength. You have to really get an overwhelming push. Hellowing really wants to be lingering at least around 30 or 40% if they want to be able to do what they did last time and make a decisive push to be able to cap it off. Even if they were able to get a decisive wipe against Exodus, if they're lingering around 10%, it's not going to be enough that will give Exodus time to rally. So we're really seeing Exodus just make this extremely difficult on them, Blue. We can't make the argument anymore that Hellowing is holding back on purpose.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Look at these leaderboards are extremely Exodus favored. Hellowing certainly winning in the damage taken and amount healed as well, dominating there, but they've certainly taken a lot more damage as well. That doesn't mean that we haven't seen moments of brilliance coming in on the side of Hellowing here. We saw Frank get flipped off the side. That is the one of the Cordy crossbows on the side of Exodus, so that we know it's Frank and Fiercely are the 2 Cordy crossbows showing up today on the side of Exodus. And then on Hellowing side, it's Ari and Anarchy are the 2, and I'm watching Ari right now as he bides his time, waiting for the opportune moment. There's a pull-in right there. We'll see if he goes for a spin. He does manage to go for a spin, only picking up 1 kill right there. Everybody else seemed that they had solid defensive buffs running right now, but Ari not able to come up with it. And I'll be honest with you, overall, the Cordy's not having a tremendously big impact on this match. B-Blast on that spear certainly making a lot more of a dent.
Yeah, we've seen spears and staffs kind of make more of an impact in general. Even the gladiator build to some degree making more of an impact here in some cases than Cordy. Both of these guilds are very familiar with who the Cordys are on the other side. We saw last time that these 2 guilds fought here that Ari was not able to get much going. I don't even know if he was in the top 10 at the end of the match because they were just countering him so hard. The other Hellowing Cordy, Anarchy, was able to get a decent amount of kills if I recall, but Exodus was just absolutely hunting Ari the entire match, and you can understand why. He is probably one of the most consistent Cordys that we've seen in all of North America, but Exodus knows that, and they are just making his life miserable in the last match and in this match as well.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Croft here. This is one of the tanks for one of the top DPS statics in Exodus, and I'll be honest with you, Exodus, there's 6 minutes on the clock. If Hellowing is going to pull the trigger and get this going, it needs to be right now. Right here is where, again, we were already in the middle of the upset last time, but this time we're seeing a completely different look from Exodus. Clearly, they have strategized against this. Brandong, I think, ended up choosing Cherna, thinking maybe they didn't have this figured out, but he said himself, Exodus is the sweatiest guild in the tournament. Of course they rewatched the VOD. Of course they're going to be ready for it this time. And I'll be honest with you, they seem to have Hellowing's number. They took the stone immediately. No hesitation, no waiting. They took the stone, which meant that they were confident that the reverse cap would not happen and that they were prepared for a strategy just like this.
Yeah, Blue, in hindsight, I think Hellowing is going to look at this and realize that maybe they got a little bit baited. Surely Exodus knows that, you know, if this map was a problem before, that they ought to ban it, and yet they didn't ban it. And Hellowing seems to have just walked right into their trap because their strategy now is working. Hellowing picking the map that they previously won, and they are now losing, I would say, pretty decisively. I don't think they're going to want to run this back at all, Blue. Something is not going well here. They're going to need a change of environments if they want to come back out of this best of 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, Hellowing coming up short in this match right now. We tick underneath the 5-minute mark here. This is not what we saw from them in the winners bracket, but I think, again, this has a lot in part to do with Exodus practicing Cherno. They were ready for the Cherno pick this time, and you see how much of a difference it makes when a guild prepares for a map like this. Hellowing thought they had their number. They thought that they would catch them off guard. Maybe, again, fool me once, says Exodus, but not this time. 4.5 minutes, that cap is going to get interrupted again. And now, Hellowing, it's looking pretty dire. Technically, they would have enough time if they wanted to get this cap off right now, but gosh, look at how their tanks, oh my goodness, barely get that off right now. They almost need to pop Guardians and go right now. If they're going to do it, there's 4 minutes left on the clock. They need probably 3 full wipes in a row, almost 4 full wipes in a row on Exodus at this point. B-Blast is just not going to let that happen. That guy's a monster, just constantly killing everyone all the time. You see Alvin over here ready to pull anyone that gets near him off the edge, just like that. Later Taters, rip Bozo off the side of the edge right there. And again, Hellowing really struggling in this first match, but I think it's because the map choice. I think that they thought, Marlon, that they were going to be able to beat them, repeat what they did last time here. But again, Exodus showing just how sweaty they are, just how much they want it.
Yeah, and I've got B-Blast's perspective here. I'm going to see what he is able to do. I'm really surprised that they are not hunting him, you know, just like those Exodus players are hunting Ari and making sure that that Hellowing Cordy cannot get out of control. You would expect that Hellowing knows that B-Blast is just dominating those kill feeds, but maybe there are just too many high-power Exodus players for them to single out, because right now B-Blast is kind of just free-farming right on the cap. His group doing a good job of buffing, shielding him, and keeping him alive, but he's not really even needing to do a whole lot of dodge rolling or stealth. He is fairly free to just cast and blast here, just like he is named. I'm really surprised that maybe Hellowing just can't reach him. They're too busy being stuck down the stairs and not able to get up on this plateau where this guy is just farming damage.
Yeah, I'll be honest, we're 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Hellowing did get up to about 20 or so % right there, but with 2.5 minutes left to go, they're out of time. Now it's time to start to consider, okay, we've lost this match. We could not run it back on the same map we did last time. The Exodus was ready for that. So I think that Brandonger is looking at this going, okay, they might just be slightly better guild here, but we can out-strategize them if we prepare maps that they're not ready for. So what are we looking at as a potential next map here? Personally, I'm looking at the T2 maps, Marlon.
I was just going to say it's got to be a T2 map. The T1 maps I think are a little bit too predictable, and you know, guilds within the same alliance I'm sure have scrimmed there plenty of times. The T2 maps still have some, you know, strategic things that you can pull off. We saw Tier doing some absolutely crazy macro on the Paquilo map, I believe it was, last time that they were in the tournament. So maybe Hellowing has a backup plan here. They did kind of go right back to Cherno, which was their comfort zone. But as far as the picks and bans go, do they get to pick again? Is there another coin flip? What are the rules for this best 2 out of 3 format tonight?
Yeah, so good question. For those of you that don't know, in a best of 3 format, when you play on a map, you cannot play on it again. God bless it. So no more Chernobog in this best of 3, in this particular best of 3 here. And when you lose in the best of 3, you get to choose the next map. If you want to ban, we'll let you ban, that's fine. But typically guilds are okay with choosing the next map here. So Hellowing, being the losers of this first match here, will get to choose their next map, guaranteed. But on the other side, Exodus will get their 4 bans as normal.
So yeah, so you could just ban all the T2 maps, right? You've got 4 bans. You could kind of force the match to go into a safer environment where you feel like you can win. It's definitely looking like Exodus is stronger tonight. So if they can get just kind of that generic Talus Azrael fight, I think they're going to be looking real strong. But I mean, we'll have to see, Blue.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I think Manticus is where I would be going. I mean, if you're going to throw a curveball at someone, you go Manticus. I don't know if I would go Daigon. I don't know if I'm that bold. That bridge and the concave, it ends up being one-sided a lot of times. You don't have the Malakar, as that was eliminated from the map pool as well. Maybe you could think about it Morokai, but like Morokai, I think that they might be able to beat them heads up, but we will see. Defeat 69. Nice. Defeats for B Blast here. Serrano at 60. Odie at 47. CYG at 42. Fiercely at 35. The top for Hellowing. Anarchy at 28 on that Cordy crossbow there. Charity and Ari on the other Cordy crossbow, 20 and 20 apiece. Right there. Top assist of the lobby is Akko at 147. It does look like the top assist for Hellowing is going to be Charity at 52 there. Damage dealt 5.7 million for B Blast. What an absolute giga chat. You got to start focusing this guy down. You got to shut this guy down. He's been consistently one of the top DPS for Exodus here. 5 million for Serrano. Ensign 4.9. Akko rounding out the top 5 at 4.9 as well. Charity the top for Hellowing here at 4.5. Anarchy coming in at number 2 for them. Anatacha and Vanguard's honorable mentions there for Hellowing. Damage taken. Feck, D-Slime, Anatacha at Deck and OOK. All the top tanks of the lobby here, and most of which are actually tanks, interestingly enough. And it's honestly, that makes sense because they kept Hellowing from capping a number of times there. CYG, the top tank on this side of Exodus there. The amount healed, top healer of the lobby, 3.2 million for Fuji right there. Grim, Jukes, Asa, Not Sauron, rounding out the top 5 healers of the lobby. Exodus, Hamsters Prevail, Funk Fresh, Hope Teapot, and Asian character name, the top healers of the lobby for Hellowing. Certainly you need to go back to the drawing board here a little bit, Morland.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see just how well the gladiators on the Exodus side are performing. Multiple gladiators above the 4 million damage mark, and kind of insane, Blue, because I know these guys are not playing Glass Cannon. We saw that CYG there was the most damage taken in all of Exodus, so the guy's definitely getting hit, even with pocket healers. The ability to do 4 million damage while still playing somewhat tanky and be able to take 2 million damage. These guys have cooked up some pretty insane gladiator builds, and we already talked about how they have such an advantage when it comes to those extra great swords in their roster. Part of where that is going is definitely into these gladiators, and they are getting way more value out of this build than I have seen any other guild get so far.
Yep, absolutely. I think that gladiators, honestly, we're seeing a lot of gladiators in NA East particularly, a little bit in the other regions, but I'll be honest with you, EU actually favoring the SNS spear a lot more than they favor the gladiator, but certainly NA East going a little bit more the direction of that gladiator, doing a lot of damage, tanking a lot of damage as well. Coming up with that. Now, let's talk a little bit about these map choices here, as we don't know just how pick ban is going quite yet. So you're banning all 4 of the Talandre maps. Let's assume that that happens for a moment. What do you choose then on the side of Hellowing?
It's got to be one of the classics. I think one of the maps that they're comfortable with, one that they know, one that they have a lot of wins on. Maybe they've scrimmed against Exodus on, Azrael or something like that before, and they feel like they can do it again. You can kind of blame Cherno a little bit. The stairs, the respawns, you can blame it a little bit as a gimmick map. If you think that you are the stronger guilds, and, it does, in our interview with Brandog, it did sound like maybe that they believe that they are still stronger than Exodus. They said Exodus was sweatier than them, but I don't know, it kind of seemed like he still thought that they were going to come out on top. So if you really believe that, you should be able to take them on Talus, you should be able to take them on Azrael. There's nothing really too crazy that can happen on those maps to allow a weaker guild to have any kind of decisive victory against you.
Absolutely, and I think that they agreed with my and your assessment from earlier, Morland. It's almost like we know how the game works. Look at this. So bans. Chernobog is obviously out of the map pool. Can't choose that. The bans are Daigon, Bacalo, Leviathan, and interestingly enough, the final ban is Azrael, which I wasn't expecting there, but pretty much banning out the majority of the T2 maps. The choice on the side of Hellowing is Grand Alon. So yeah, we were talking about how it needed to be some weird map, catch them a little off guard. Grand Alon is certainly that. Lots of tiny choke points, and Hellowing knows they've got the better Cordies in most cases.
Honestly, I didn't even think of GA at first, but that is probably the
Smart.
weirdest of all of the T1 maps. I mean, you've got Kawa, which is a little bit weird, but maybe not in the direction that you want. Yeah, Grand Alon, if you haven't practiced it, figuring out where to move your team, where everyone should be positioning, how to cover multiple different respawn angles. In a lot of these maps, it's typical that you've got, one guild that will spawn in Portal 1, another guild that will spawn in Portal 2, and then Portal 3 will kind of get ignored. A lot of that is very predictable. On Grand Alon, the respawn game is super unpredictable. It rotates all the time. There are fights that break out, small scale fights that break out all over the place. Exodus was clearly stronger in a scenario where there was one concentrated fight. That's what Cherno is. It's really, really close, tight-knit fight. And Spear really loves that, whether it's Spear Dagger or whether it's those Gladiators. Both of those builds we saw Exodus doing very well at. If Helloing can spread the fight out into these respawn skirmishy fights or just take advantage of the terrain and line of sight that the Grand Alon map has, I think this is probably the best pick they could have come up with, actually.
I would agree with you, but I'm also going to say that we saw Exodus's performance on Grand Alon at once already in this tournament, knocking Animal Crackers down to the losers bracket. It was not close, but they had to play. They were not fighting on the stone like normal. They were basically flanking around, running over to the portals, trying to portal camp their opponents basically the entire match long in that one. So very different. It's not to say that, again, they don't, like, Exodus doesn't have a strategy prepared for this map. I think that they very likely do, but they can't do necessarily what they want to, which is like maybe get like a big engagement or have flankers come in, or maybe even position on the stone. The positioning on the stone can be kind of hard in this one, and it's going to come down to how well your Cordies can communicate and coordinate with one another. I love Frank. I'll be the first person to say I love Frank, who's one of the Cordy spinners on the side of Exodus. But I'll be honest with you, I think that Helloing might have stronger Cordy coordination between the two guilds. Obviously, Exodus has stronger strengths elsewhere in their composition, but I think this is going to be a very interesting map. I think it's a really great pick, Marlon.
Yeah, I think it's a really good pick. Although, Exodus, with that kind of skirmishy comp, they do have more greatswords. We talked about that before. And if you're in a situation where you have those smaller scraps, greatsword is kind of one of the king weapons in those smaller fights. So I think their composition still works pretty well here. Some Helloing members are saying that maybe Kirk and a few of their other scrappers might have been stuck under the map or something last time around. So we'll see if that's going to make a difference this time. One of their heaviest hitting Scorpion players there, if he was having issues, I could definitely see why that would make a difference, but it is still 48 versus 48, so a few people being stuck could make a huge difference, especially in a scenario like this where the fight is going to be spread out, and hopefully that doesn't happen again.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you get stuck into the map, you've always got the escape feature. So at most, you're out of the combat for maybe 1 or 2 minutes, depending on how bad your computer is. Technically, could be 3 minutes in most cases. But I wouldn't necessarily write that off completely. We talk about, both guilds are going to have their disconnects. Both guilds are going to have people stuck on the maps here and there. But again, you just have to reconnect and come back. It's something that everyone struggles with. I wouldn't necessarily try to formulate your strategy around that. Interesting. This is a slightly different composition for Helloing this time. How many? Didn't I say there were 21 wands last time for Helloing? Now there's only 19. So they've made some adjustments. They're pulling in the people off the bench. Okay, bro, they are ready. I love how they said Exodus was sweaty. They're bringing in a different roster here. There's some different names in here. It's still all from Helloing, so it's definitely super legal. But we could see a little bit of a change here. Clearly, they were ready to potentially lose that first match.
Yeah, I'm looking to see where some of those wands went. You would expect that probably there aren't any Seekers that are getting taken out of the roster, but maybe a Templar or a Paladin or something like that. That is interesting. Perhaps they feel like they need some more firepower, Blue, and decided that somebody needs to swap to a more offensive weapon. I'm not sure where those wands went.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's... we gonna see right now. That's they did manage to get up to 20 wands, but again, yeah, there's at least 1 to 2 people different on the Helloing team, and those people can make the difference. You bring in a slightly different composition, and maybe they're the same people, but maybe they swapped weapons. It's possible they just chose a different weapon set for this too.
Yeah, it is possible. I don't know that many people that have a full healer set and a full DPS set, so they might have just subbed someone out. But at this point, we're pretty late in tier 2. It wouldn't be that difficult for someone to throw together like a spear dagger build or something like that, even if they are a healer main. So that could definitely be possible in 48v48. It's hard to keep track of all the individual moving parts, but they are definitely running at least one fewer wand in the previous match.
Yeah, absolutely. So most of this fight, guys, should happen underneath the dais, or I guess the gazebo, if you will, like the very large gazebo that is on Grand Elon. And so there's a lot of small choke points. There's a grapple on the backside with 2 or 3 entry points, but they're all very narrow choke points. And then the fighting space, you're shoulder to shoulder with your enemies and your allies on the stone itself. So very Cordy rich environment. That's very likely why Hellowing chose it. Here, as I give the go to the tournament director, both teams were told to buff about a minute or so ago. So we should be just about ready to go into this one. The winner of this match, if it is Exodus, could be moving on to the grand finals for NA East. The loser is at least guaranteed to walk home with 3rd place, which is a participation sticker in the tournament. Certainly, you win this match, you get Lucent. You lose this match, you don't get Lucent. It's literally just that simple. Well, either way, we are spawned in to Grand Elon as we pan over to the giant dome. We do see they're both in the same colors again, Exodus and Hellowing reaching the point at the same time. Cove and Softwang trying to dive in and interrupt Hellowing's entrance into the point, and they're going to do a great job of it. Frank gets around the backside of the fight, and it's a huge kill feed on the side of Exodus right there, just barely on the point before their opponents right there, and seconds make the difference, Morlin.
Blue, I saw a beautiful flank there as well from Exodus. Not only did they clash on the point just a little bit early, but Exodus had a lot of players going around, curving, hitting Hellowing from the side. I don't know if they were really prepared to do that. Hellowing had kind of a long snake there. They were probably focused on the main fight, but Exodus definitely deciding to fight them not only on the main objective, but deciding to crash into their backline. And already we're seeing what I was talking about with these skirmishes breaking out. You have the main fight on the point over there, 15v15 or so, but you have multiple fights out in the woods as well, and both of these guilds are going to be trying to cover those respawns. They're going to, whether it's those gladiators or those scorpions, they have some respawn camping builds. They're going to be trying to get as much value out of that as you can. Probably Hellowing more so, since they did lose on that 48v48 style fight. You can expect that they're going to be trying to camp respawns and hold some of these roads out in the woods.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that Exodus came prepared for Grand Elon here. These guys, as sweaty as they are, there's no way they didn't come prepared. And here's one of my favorite healers of the entire tournament worldwide, Gnarly Gnar, my goat here. Certainly doing a great job on the side of Exodus. Always one of the top healers in his lobbies, and you can see him positioned very well here. Not too much for him to do, though, as his guild is consistently holding Hellowing rather, in these choke points, certainly pulling them down and trying to get them outside here. We've seen Cordy spin after Cordy spin come down. Now we're starting to see Hellowing pick up quite a few more kills here as the skirmish does break out and push a little bit more towards them. But again, fiercely, honestly, putting on a clinic with that Cordy early on here. Look at those defeats right now. Look at how many kills this guy already has in this lobby. We're only 2 minutes in. He's got 7 kills. That's crazy. Serrani, Odie, I'm in your walls. Banky just trying to keep up right now. Certainly Exodus on top, but Charity, again, one of the top DPSs of the lobby, running that Daigon's Ember Staff and Del Nazor's Daggers on this one. Top DPS of the lobby so far for Hellowing. So definitely doing their best to try to stay in this one right now. As the fight, the Riftstone hasn't quite opened up yet, but Hellowing is able to bring the fight to the Riftstone itself. Here's Brandonger's perspective right here as he tries to push onto the Riftstone. He's trying to pull people off the side of the map here as he protects this backside grapple, moving back and forth here, but I don't think his healer is anywhere to be found because he has not caught a heal in there we go, in quite some time. There's P-Bass picking up a lot of kills for Exodus right there. They all clump up, but they never seem to be Cordy spun at that moment, Morlin.
Yeah, normally we praise Helloing for having the strongest Cordy players, but in this particular map, Fiercely really performing well so far, and the Helloing Cordy is just not able to get those huge plays off. I'm seeing Ari get his setup like normal, trying to make those plays, but jumping into the gazebo, which is mostly being controlled by Exodus, he was not able to survive that spin. He had a pretty good position, pretty good setup, but they just blasted him. And there are so many Exodus players controlling this main objective. I understand Helloing trying to spread the fight out. That is kind of what I expected them to try to do here. But the downside of that is that Exodus is really controlling the main cap. And with that main cap about to become live here in just a moment, you're going to have to go over there and deal with that sooner or later. It is going to be hard to control those respawns completely since they have so many different avenues to get back. At some point, Helloing is going to have to get their Cordies in and challenge Exodus directly in the main area.
Yeah, 20 seconds before it actually opens up right now. Frank gets a solid spin off on the low ground. Only picks up one, but there's a lot of damage. I'm in your walls down here too. We talk a lot about him taking a good amount of damage. Just a Crusader right now on the side of Helloing here, doing what he can to skirmish out here, but with 5 seconds left on the clock, I'm gonna pan back over toward the objective itself where there's yet another fight raging here as it does open up now, and it is interactable. There we go. We see the first interaction coming down here on the side of Exodus in all likelihood right now. It does look like, yep, they're going to show up for this one. 22. It doesn't look like they're trying to wait to cap this time. We saw that against, they used that against Take Care. They waited to cap. They were reverse capping. They were playing it a lot more cautiously across the board. This time, they're confident. They're just going to reach out and try to get that cap immediately, Marlon.
Yeah, and it makes sense. I mean, we saw last time, we were wondering if it was a bit of a head game, is Helloing purposely letting them cap, but no, it looks like Exodus's strategy here is legitimately just get this cap and then we will not let you take it back. It doesn't matter if you have 14 minutes or 15 minutes or whatever. We are just going to keep fragging and preventing you from getting any contribution whatsoever. It worked on Cherno, and so far it's working here too, Blue. Exodus continuing to win the main objective, although Helloing put up some pretty solid pushes here. I'm seeing Anarchy get some good spins. I'm seeing lots of force coming out of Helloing. I'm seeing a lot of confidence in this push now that they are ignoring some of those outskirt fights and trying to hit the main gazebo. A lot more red names, but it's just not enough. The kill feed's still overwhelmingly yellow on the actual objective.
Yep, absolutely. We see Dry Eyes here. Certainly some fans in the chat there. It looks like Blue sounding exhausted. I'm going to need some more energy. I don't know how much energy you actually want right now, okay? We're chilling. I still have 13 and a half minutes to go on this match. Then we could have a third match. Then we got to have potentially 2 best of 3s after that too, okay? I got a lot of energy I got to keep in the reserves for now, okay? I'm doing my best. Fiercely on the low ground down there, doing what he can. He certainly has been spinning like an absolute madman. Here's Funk. We spoke with him before as well. The power bottom of Exodus here on this healer, taking a lot of damage and selflessly somehow not healing himself. Tragically, the tombstone POV, that is usually how leadership goes for you, is you end up with a tombstone POV on repeat because, you know, they say that those that can't play coach, and those that can't coach sit 30 rows back shouting obscenities. That's where we're sitting, Marlon.
That is correct. Maybe 40 rows back. And I mean, look, if people want some more energy, then we're going to have to see some better pushes here, Blue. Exodus kind of ran that last match, and so far, they're kind of running this one too. For 2 guilds that I would expect to be so close in power, I'm kind of wondering what is happening tonight. These are the final matches. Whoever loses this best of 3 here is going to get knocked out, is not going to get paid any of that Lucent, thousands and thousands of Lucent on the table here to be walked away from. So where are those Helloing pushes? Where is that huge surge that we saw before? These are the guys that knocked Exodus down into the losers bracket, and yet in this scenario here, it's looking like these guilds are not even a fair match.
Yeah, well, I mean, it does look like a fair match, but I think that Exodus just came with a stronger strategy here. People saying one of the teams benched their top 3 DPS for the match. Well, clearly they weren't the top 3 DPS. tough shit. That's how it goes at the end of the day. And sometimes you do have to bench some of your top DPS in order to get the composition that you want. That winners win at the end of the day. It is what it is. Now, just that being said, Cammy standing on the outside of the fight here, waiting for his static to get here so we can dive onto the point. You see Croft and the rest of Exodus just, they look like a death ball. I mean, Tira has to be looking at this like, man, they're grouping up an awful lot. And there's Anarchy getting into the middle of everyone here, but sadly not able to get a spin down on the side of Hellowing here. And again, we don't see Ari getting those characteristic spins down as well here. Instead, he's getting really solid pulls off the side, but they're just going to take the grapple back up. It's not as impactful on Grand Alon on the backside of the fight here. And now Anarchy without a static here. He's looking for an opportunity to spin, but gets blown off the edge again. And this is just how dedicated this Exodus squad is. These guys are focusing these people. They are making sure that Anarchy can't go. Oh my God, that's a good spin right there, but he just doesn't have the buffs to make it happen. There we go. We'll see if he can get it done. Waiting for the pole to come down any second now. There's surely, there we go, goes for the spin. I was like, yeah, whenever you're ready. Gets no kills though, and Exodus just shutting down the Cordies on the side of Hellowing. Unbelievably good play, and it's making me excited for this potential grand finals here.
Yeah, I mean, this is really extraordinary from Exodus. You know, I'm giving Hellowing a bit of a hard time here, but to be fair, Hellowing is not a weak guild by any means. They are and have been one of the strongest single guild comps since all the way back when the game launched in NA. I'm just saying here that Exodus looks so incredibly strong, even against Hellowing, which has been a consistent top guild. Exodus is just kind of on another level tonight, Blue. They really, really want this, and they are not, this is not the 50-50 back and forth that we expected. You know, I really thought this might go to the third match. I thought that this might be very, very difficult for Exodus, quite an uphill climb for them, but we are seeing consistent dominance not only on Cherno, but which is a hard map to consistently dominate on, but we're seeing that consistent dominance spill over to this Grand Alon map as well. Again, both of these maps are maps that Hellowing picked. These are the environments that Hellowing feels most confident in, that they can beat Exodus here. But in both of these cases, it's just crazy to see how strong Exodus looks here at the end of this tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. We see Benki on the low ground down here. Serrano just firing away. Look how dominant Exodus is on the point right now. Unbelievably pushing Hellowing off. Again, it's like a different guild. Remember the winner's bracket match? These guilds were neck and neck. It was right. It was like you just didn't know who was going to win until the final moments, and it was Hellowing that came up Brandonger with the brilliant strategy on Cherno that ultimately came out winning it there. This time, Exodus just flipping the script. If I'm Tier right now, I'm looking at this going, ruh-roh, Raggy. Ruh-roh, Scoob.
Yeah, Exodus, anyone watching them fight right now has got to be a little bit worried. Tier does have the advantage of the fact that they have not taken any losses in the tournament, so they've got to be defeated twice as many times as everyone else to get knocked out. But Exodus is looking like they are ready to go the distance tonight. They are not bumping the brakes at all. We see a full respawn coming out from Hellowing here and a pretty solid push. This might be their opportunity to make a difference. It looked like they were holding respawns over at Portal 3 for a moment here so they could make a more organized push into the gazebo, but now that they are here, I don't know, Blue, it seems like they're just a little bit slow getting in, trying to hit the gazebo from multiple different sides, and I don't know if the coordination is not there or if it just wasn't clear enough what they were supposed to do, because Exodus plenty of time there to respawn and catch them before they are able to even get past these columns.
Yeah, absolutely. You didn't block on the Dark Blighter here, which is becoming more and more common in North America East in this region here. And certainly we saw it a lot in NA West as well as they caught on to it. You didn't block running both Tevent Daggers and Tevent Wand, interestingly enough, and just blowing people away. This guy is doing so much damage right there. We saw Fiercely actually get a spin-off on the side of Exodus over there as well. C getting another big kill feed, and now we're starting to see there's Anarchy, a big red kill feed coming through his Hellowing. Piles onto the point with 7 minutes left remaining. It is now or never, because it's going to take them a second to even get on here. They all pile into the point, but sadly, B-Blast has other plans for them as he pulls them all over, or they all get pulled into the corner, and B-Blast AoEs all of them them down on the left side of your screen there. Now, Brandonger trying to interact with the point, gets pulled off. Taco-chan gonna go for the interact on the other side. He's gonna get blown off the point, and now it's Brandonger all on him on his lonesome. He's gonna retreat and limp off, lick his wounds, and back up there. 6.5 minutes left on the clock. Ari gets a decent spin that time, and they're gonna go for the cap one more time here. It is going to go off this time. They do have more people on this point than their opponent now, as it looks like Hellowing has decided to flip this switch. They have enough people on this point. Was it all part of the master plan all along for Brandonger? 25% and climbing as they have more people on the point. They've got them all clumped up. That's a lot of low yellow health bars right there. And Atachi is going to pick up a big kill feed. And I'm going to be honest, Moreland, they're running away with it. 31% and climbing.
Yeah, that was a very impressive push, and honestly, Blue, that could have been even worse. Ari was in a position to do a really devastating spin there, but he gets yanked out of it immediately and actually gets 0 kills, and then is taken out before he is able to get his cooldown and do another one. I really thought that Hellowing was going to push even harder there with those quarters. That was looking really scary, but Exodus, even though they might have been thrown a little bit off by that push, look how quickly and strongly they rally. They shut down those Hellowing quarters, flood back into this, and start to stuff that percentage right back down into the 20s. What a good push from Hellowing, but these Exodus guys, what is going on here, Blue? They're just so difficult to solve.
They're feeding them something different. It's in the water. But I'll be honest with you, what Hellowing just showed them is that this is going to be a lot closer than we initially thought. They can surge just 2 more surges like that, and they win this match right now. And with 5 minutes left on the clock, Hellowing does have enough time to make those surges happen here. 22 people currently on the point. Exodus has pulled most of its guild back to defend the point now as they start to panic a little bit. Again, 35 people on the point. We did not see that before, Moreland. We never saw that many people for Exodus on the point. Now it's down to 23 again, as I think they've taken a little bit more control of it. But I think that Hellowing, whatever they just did to surge onto the point, they do it 2-3 more times, it's game over. But I'll be honest with you, if they're going to pull the trigger, they got to do so right now, because I think that Exodus just realized, okay, we were out of position a little bit for that. We're going to pull our boys back. And now this has basically shut the door on Hellowing. Their percentage is going to run out, where once they were at 30%, they are now at 0 with 4 minutes on the clock, and looking more and more like Exodus convincingly wants to be the strongest guild in NA East. They will have, assuming they can beat Hellowing for the rest of these 4 minutes here, they will have one more team waiting for them in the finals, and it's going to have to be convincing. As convincing as Exodus looks against Hellowing right now, Tier has not dropped a single map in this tournament so far against a single guild in the tournament, and they have to beat Tier not once, not twice, not 3, but 4 times, and essentially to win the tournament. They have to beat them in 2 best-of-3s. They need to show everyone that without a doubt they are the strongest guild in NA East. And I'll be honest with you, they needed to come out this match. This needed to not be close, Moreland, if we were going to see a really close grand finals. And I'll just be honest, it does not look close. I think that Exodus is cleanly the stronger guild right here. As much as I love Hellowing, Exodus looking a step above them today. And I'll be honest, they do this against Tier. Tier better look out.
Yeah, Exodus looks absolutely terrifying right now. And I mean, I have fought against these guys in the past, and it's just so frustrating. You cannot figure out why they just feel so strong. They are kind of built different. They're ahead of the meta, I think. They've got some builds figured out that maybe other guilds don't have figured out yet. And when you pile that on with just the calmness and the coordination, you can see here it's devastating. Hellowing had that insane push a few minutes ago, and Blue, one crazy push when you're coming back and getting that second cap, one crazy push is all it takes. Ari finally getting that huge spin there, that 8-kill spin, and you could see that playing out in the previous push. If he was able to get a 6-kill spin on that last push, I think Hellowing could have taken that entire cap. I mean, they surged to 35% so fast there. They could have easily gotten to 70% or even higher. But on that last spin, it just goes to show how these tournaments and those pushes like that can hinge on the tiniest little detail, because on that last push, Ari was not able to get his spin went off. He got hooked in the first half second that he was spinning. He just got pulled right out of it. Makes you wonder, like, where is that Cordy buff? Where is that, Cordy wand to keep him from getting CC'd there? And, how can those individual plays just make such a big difference?
They don't have enough time, right? There's just no way, right? The 29,
no, this is
30%. You're like, I'm a minute and 40 seconds left on the clock. They're surely they don't throw in the final minute and 30 seconds right now. Wouldn't that just be the caster curse of a lifetime?
They would have to throw at this point. They would have to throw. I mean, unless they just wanted to go to the third round. But Exodus has a gauntlet of matches ahead of them. I'm pretty sure they want to lock this down. I mean, you can't always throw a match in the final minute, but surely they're not going to do that here.
Yeah, surely. We will not see that here. I think it will be Exodus moving on. And Moreland, your tournament prediction might be right after all, my man. It might be Exodus.
I mean, like I said, you fight these guys and they just feel different than every other guild. They are so strong. I really, really expected to see them in the finals, if not take the entire tournament. I was so surprised when they got knocked down to the loser bracket to begin with, even though it was a strong guild that knocked them down. But they are proving that that match may have been a bit of a fluke, as they were able to rally and decisively come ahead 2-0 here against Tallandre, against the guild that knocked them down to the loser bracket to begin with.
Yep, absolutely. It does look with 24 seconds left on the clock, 1% on the cap. It does look like that Exodus will leave no prisoners. And also no doubt as to who is the stronger guild between Hellowing and Exodus. One of the guys down there says, "Meow, pet me, I'm a pretty kitty." That is Croft. Croft is a 60-year-old man. Interesting. I love Croft, but that was even for him. That was a little strange. I love him to death. Odie, 54 kills right there. B-Blast, Serrano, and Sobre rounding out the top four. Frank at number 5 there, the real Frank, my man, right there. We saw another Frank that was really great in the tournament. I believe he was a healer for one of the other guilds as well. Forgetting which one as well. That Frank is certainly great as well. No shade right there. Halloween's top killers of the lobby, Anatachaya. Cheap Tricks, D-Slime, Kirklando, and Ari all the way down there on the second page. Top assist of the lobby, 129 for Sovre right there. Halloween's Anatachaya at the top assist for them. Damage dealt looks like Sovre again. Odie, Serrano, Ensign, Zero, 4.3 million damage done. Again, a much lower this match as the fighting was just so spread out all the time. Anatachaya again on that spear dagger, doing a great job for his guild. Dabloya and Charity rounding out the top 3 for Hellowing down there. Damage taken 2.6 million for FEQ on the Crusader. Odie on that Gladiator that you love so much. Another Gladiator. D-Slime in the top 4 there. I'm in your walls in at number 3. Sieg down there for Exodus at the very bottom. The second to top tank of the lobby for them. 2.6 million damage healed for Bo Harding. Not Sauron, Fuji, Lychee, Light Ice, Amiibo, and Gnarly Gnar. The top healers of the lobby here. And certainly there was no doubt it is Exodus that will move on to fight the final boss, Moreland.
I'm so impressed at how Exodus is able to play these Gladiator builds, Blue. I mean, you saw generally 1 or 2 strong Gladiators in most of these comps. I think that's kind of to be expected, maybe depending on gear and things like that. But later in T2, when more people have gear, the build really comes online, especially with Arc Boss weapons, which some of these guys are using. But so many of the top Exodus DPS are playing that Greatsword Spear. I don't know if I saw a single Greatsword Dagger. It's all tanks and bruisers, and in that 48v48 format, especially when you have kind of a tanky composition already, we're seeing Exodus just kind of play that almost bully composition where they have plenty of damage, but when you try to respond, they're all just too tanky to take down.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're gonna see if Tier has the answer, as they've had the answer for everybody else in the tournament so far, but I don't believe that they have actually fought Exodus. No, they were on opposite sides of the bracket They were the ones to knock Supple down to the losers bracket down there, and then Exodus said we will take care of the rest for them. And now again, it is Tier versus Exodus in the final. We are getting the Cinema Grand Finals here. I want to give a big shout out to Hellowing and the boys over there. Such a great guild and organization. I remember the first time they teabagged me and made a montage video about how dog water I am at the game and how bad Reassembled was when they absolutely dumpstered us on one of our first Riftstones. God bless them. They've come a long way, and they absolutely deserved all of the good publicity that they got in this tournament. They certainly lead a great organization of guys over there. Nothing but respect for them. And now it's time to look to the grand finals of NA East. What a lot of people would say is the grand finals of the world, because a lot of people think that NA East is, at least a lot of people in NA, think that NA East is the most competitive region of the world. EU would beg to differ, and so would NA West. But we could be watching a battle between the top guilds in the world here. The final match of the Best in Guild Talandre tournament is going to be Exodus versus Tier. And I'll be honest with you, Tier from the Ivory server, rank 2 in their alliance with Hellowing, Exodus, and Corrupt. Clearly, Corrupt must be number 1, as no one wants to admit that they're rank 1 in the Alliance. Rank 1 on their server. Best in Guild T1 finish was 4th. Here they are in the Grand Finals, so clearly going to beat that. And some history behind Tier. There's a lot of people from Cho Nation, from Black Desert Online in Tier. Cho Nation, cleanly the best guild in Black Desert Online history. Basically worldwide, they never dropped a tournament. These guys were absolutely goated across the board. At least they never dropped an official Pearl Abyss tournament. They did lose in my tournament, but we will write that off. But they dominated Black Desert Online's PvP, large-scale PvP scene. They showed up for the Best in Guild T1 tournament. They got 4th. That was clearly not good enough for them. And now Cho and company are here to show that they can be the best of not one game, but that they can master 2, Morlin.
Yes, absolutely. And their opponent, Exodus, we just saw, looked like absolute monsters against one of the strongest guilds in the game. And it's not the first time that that has happened. Exodus looked like absolute monsters against Supple. They are the ones who knocked out Supple. The previous T1 champion knocked them completely out of the tournament. Exodus on the map that Supple wanted to play. So just a crazy strong guild right now coming against Tier that is currently undefeated. Again, ranking themselves 3rd in their alliance. We've been talking all tournament about how perhaps that was a bit of a humble rating there, since clearly they're at least top 2. And if we see how this match goes, possibly even top 1. That Siege is 1, don't let that fool you. These guys have won plenty of Sieges in other guilds, but as this organization, which is somewhat new, we have seen them just rapidly adapt and adjust and improve to a point where they could be the strongest guild in the entire game, but they are going to have to really have some decisive victories here, since Tier does have that advantage. Exodus with 1 loss in the tournament so far, Tier with 0 losses so far, means that they're going to have to win twice as much as they lose here, Blue.
Yep, they're gonna have to prove it not once, but 2 times. And we have, again, some cinema interviews. Here we get to interview both teams before we get into our grand finals match. We're gonna pull up Funk Monk's verse. My boy Funk, it's good to see you back, buddy. Winning that very convincingly against Hellowing right there. That's exactly the kind of statement that you guys needed to make. You guys certainly have a lot of momentum. I'm sure you're fired up. I'm sure that you're ready. You've done a lot of prep for this match. How confident are you going against Tier, who has not dropped a map in this tournament yet?
Yeah, I mean, the Tier is a really strong guild. Honestly, even in our practice scrims, it's been pretty close 50-50, so it's going to be a fun watch for everyone for sure.
Right on. I am very excited to watch. Do you think you guys got to beat them in 2 best of 3s? Fortunately, the match time for you guys is going to be the full length match time, so a little bit longer than you were used to elsewhere in this tournament. But the standard size, standard time for a Rift and Boonstone map that you would normally get. So, do you think you can beat them in 2 best of 3 formats?
I mean, I would say we're going in there and trying our best. That's all I could really say. Yeah, it's gonna be close. We'll see.
All I can hope for is that it's going to be close. Right on. All right. Well, regardless of what happens in these matches here, we will be speaking with you after the match as well for your feedback for the game and things like that. So I appreciate you, Funk, and all of your guild for coming out for the tournament, showing up consistently. You guys are some of my favorite leadership cores. You know why?
Why?
Because you never complain. You guys are my goats. Okay, you never complain. Yeah. Just silently show up and win every match. God bless them. So thank you so much, Funk, for showing up for the tournament. Good luck out there in the grand finals. Is there any, okay, do you feel any pressure right now because you're playing for the most Lucent any player has ever played for worldwide in Throne and Liberty? This is it. This is all the marbles.
You know what? I haven't even seen an event like this in an MMO period. So this is definitely incredible, and there's definitely pressure for us to go out there and perform our best. But you know, I told my guild last week and this week as well that we should just go out there and have some fun, because this really is everything that we worked for, and the best we could do is just enjoy the moment.
Hey, that's a good mentality coming into it. But Funk, certainly the best of luck to you and the boys there. You won one best of 3. Go get them fired up. Well, let's see you win this best of 3 too, so that we get the third best of 3. Would be great. Good luck out there, buddy.
Thank you.
All right, and a man that is no stranger to interviews, no strangers to shoutcasting, no stranger to streaming. Invulnerable GG here to represent Tier in this potentially final match of the tournament worldwide. All Tier needs to do, they have not lost a single round of this tournament, not dropped a map to anyone so far in the tournament. Invuln, how are the boys feeling?
Oh, bro, we're feeling 100%. We are ready for this tournament. And honestly, this is going to be pretty much a tough one. I believe this is actually going to be a very close match. We know how strong Exodus are. Exodus are very strong. And I'm kind of curious who is going to, be on top here. I'm actually super 50-50 on the situation.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very excited too. So, Invuln, you're a streamer too. So, it's been hard out there these last few months. It's certainly been super hyped. The NAE scene has been extremely competitive. It's been a struggle from start to finish, getting the guild across the finish line. But certainly the guys that you're playing with, you probably don't know this, but there's a lot of guys in Tier that dominated the Black Desert Online scene. They were convincingly the strongest guild in the world for Black Desert Online over there. Maybe EU might have something to say about that, but they beat EU many times in every tournament that we had with them. So certainly the best in our NA scene. Now they're here to show that they can be the best in not one large-scale PvP game, but 2 generational talents, if you will. So how confident are you guys coming into this match, and how does it feel to have made it to the top of this mountain?
Honestly, man, like when we talk about, Tier, also known as a bunch of members from Cho Nation, Black Desert. I mean, these guys are gamers, man. Like, individually, a lot of these players are just very good, and the team play and the macro skill in each of the groups is actually more impressive than most people might know, unless you've played in the guild. But in general, we're kind of we're pretty much happy because we kind of just defeated the El Bozos, in our last match, which was against Supple. I mean, it was a great showing against Supple, but I mean, they just kind of lost and got outskilled in multiple different ways, and it is what it is. Supple got knocked out. GG.
Okay, to a lot of people, that was the grand finals for them. Like, they cared less about winning the finals of the tournament and winning the Lucent and winning the Glory than they did about, just simply beating Supple at the end of the day. And I just gotta say, I mean, Supple seems kind of rent-free for a lot of guilds over here. But I mean, I like Supple. I like those guys over there. But that seemed like a pretty hype match there. So you seem like this is going to be relatively 50-50. Do you think that you guys think you have what it takes to beat Exodus here? You've not actually beaten them. Do you think that you can, in the tournament so far, you guys were on opposite sides of the bracket. Do you think that you can beat them in just a one best of 3, or do you think it's going to go all the way?
I honestly think it might go all the way, but I'm super unsure. We kind of versed them recently, and it was pretty much 50-50. kind of. It's hard to say what's going to happen here. But honestly, Exodus, like Brandon said, you know, they've been like super sweaty when it comes to tournaments and just going hard and training their guild. Like if they end up winning this whole tournament, props to them, man. They kind of deserve it. I'll be completely honest. So we're kind of happy. We're happy. I don't think Exodus mind if we win. I don't think we mind if they win. It's just it's kind of a friendly battle in a certain way.
That's not what I want to hear, Envol. That's not what I want to hear. Okay, I want to hear these people are trash. We're going to win. That's not what your guild needs to hear right now either. We need that morale boost right now. We're looking for the morale boost. So, Envol, do you have anything to say to your boys at home, your boys and girls that you've been playing with all this time? Do you have anything to say to the leadership core over in tier, pulling you guys all the way to the finals here and all of the wonderful work that they put in for your guild? Do you have to fire them up and prepare them for this upcoming Battle of the Titans?
Honestly, man, like I'm not part of leadership core, of course. I just came here for to represent tier. In general, like big shout out to the leadership core for tier, especially Inflict. Even though he calls me shit every day, it gives me the motivation. He calls everyone shit. Honestly, it gives us the motivation to keep on training and to be at the highest level as we can. But in general, Inflict puts in a lot of hours in general, like looking at VODs and stuff. Like he spends like 10 hours a day looking at VODs. And a big shout out to Inflict, of course, one of our main lead and shot caller, and of course to the other leadership members, in the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on. Well, Envol, I'm gunning for you guys. You can watch this grand finals match through Envol's perspective. He has drops too. We gave him a shout out in the chat, so you can follow his stream pretty quickly there. He's going to be giving that frontline perspective. Envol, I'm gunning for you, buddy. Good luck out there, man.
Thanks, man.
All right. Okay, Moreland, I have to ask, who's your favorite to win this?
I mean, everyone's saying 50-50, right? Everyone's saying 50-50, but I gotta say, I'm 60-40 Exodus. I think there's just something about that guild, man. Like I fought both with and against the tier guys. It's been a little while. So things might have shifted in recent weeks. But man, those Exodus, they just came out of nowhere and became so strong so quickly, Blue. And that arc continues. It feels like even from last week against Helloing, they've gotten even stronger just in the last few days. So I think these guys might have what it takes to claw all the way back from the losers bracket.
They might. And so we will do two predictions. This first prediction will be for the best of three. If we do get a second best of three, the mods will award the points, and then we will give another prediction for the second best of three as well. Remember, if Exodus is going to win this, they have to win not one but two best of threes. I'm going to be honest with you. Show Nation is strong like Nippon steel. Okay, these got folded like 1,000 times. Strong like a Toyota Camry driven for 300,000 miles. All right, like these guys, these are generational talents in the PvP scene across games here. And I gotta say, they got Vert in here. They got Envol in here as well. This is like new and improved Cho, because it's not all of Cho, obviously. It's just a few of them in here. But they've got Vert in here. They've got Envol in here as well. They've got Crunkgod in here. I'm going to go with tier on this one. I'll stand on the other side. I think that Exodus are great. I love Croft and everything, but he seems like he's turned into a bit of a femboy in his old age. A cat girl, if you will. As I give... Oh, wait a minute. Whoa. Let's talk about pick ban. I don't think... I'm getting ahead of myself. We didn't even talk about pick ban. Exodus won the coin toss, guys. Tier banned. Tier chose to ban Morokai, Talus, Kawazan, and Adentis. We're going to Grand Alon again, Moreland.
It makes a lot of sense. I mean, they had a decisive win on GA just a few minutes ago, Blue. They are warmed up. They know the layout. They might have learned a thing or two just recently in that last match about what they need to do. They're going to take that strategy in, tweak it like they always do, and they are going to give Tier quite the fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be honest with you. That should show you how much Hellowing actually played into Exodus's hands. The fact that Exodus chose Grand Alon as their first map against Tier shows that they had this prepared ahead of time. Hellowing played directly into their hands. Now, Tier, though, knows how Exodus is going to play on this map. They just watched their opponents play on this map. Theoretically, Tier should have the upper hand, but they're coming into this cold. They haven't played yet today. So honestly, as we give the go to the tournament director, guys, this is the grand finals. Just under 500,000 Lucent on the line, and the title of who the best in NA East is, potentially the best in the world on this one, as one of the most competitive regions in the world comes to the fold. We have the final 2 guilds left in the tournament. You can sense my excitement. Tier in the yellow, Exodus in the red. They've already run into each other. It's an all-out brawl right at the beginning. Exodus in the red. Looks like they get the first kill feed of the match as Tier tries to get onto the dais.
That looked pretty red, but now Tier responding. Chipotle and Rarkar getting on the board with some kills back against Exodus. Those initial pushes on GA are just so chaotic. You've got people coming from multiple directions. Looked like both guilds might have spawned in similar areas. They're heading over to the objective. It's going to be a few minutes until the objective goes live, but it's very important at this point to posture, get into the right position, and just start to play the mind game as well. These are guilds that have fought before. Both of them called it 50-50 in the interview, but let's be honest, Blue, these are allied guilds. They're maybe playing a little PR, maybe playing a little politics, being nice to each other. You know that if they were being honest, they want to win, and they believe that they are the stronger guild in both directions. So these guys are going to be bringing everything they have. This is not a friendly skirmish. This is not, hey, we're allies, it's Tuesday night, let's get some war games going. This is the grand finals of NA East, and we can be honest, EU is asleep right now. This is the grand finals for the entire world, Blue. These are the strongest guilds. NA East is by far the most competitive region. If they win this, they win Throne and Liberty, and they all know it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Asleep, he says. Oh boy. Right now, Invuln on the side of the fight has not died yet. And I'll be honest with you, we see a lot of red in that kill feed, but there's a lot more yellow health bars on the dais right now for Tier. But again, Exodus flying onto the dais. Croft with a good flip on for his static back there, trying to group all of Tier up on the dais right now, but it's very back and forth. You look the first 2 minutes of the match, you're wondering who is winning so far. Let's take a look at the defeats on the leaderboard. It's Tier, Exodus, Tier, Exodus, Tier, Exodus. It's very back and forth. Chipotle Burrito somehow coming up with the most kills in the lobby out of the gate here. Serrano, top DPS of the lobby. We saw him doing really well last time as well. Lights, Akko, Strikex, and Zero doing really well in this match. Damage dealt very back and forth. Damage taken also very back and forth. Looks like the amount heal shocks. This is where it's going to matter in a close match like this, Morlun. It really is a healer diff. You see the Tier healers consistently outperforming Exodus very early on. It's still early in the match, but the Tier healers outperforming Exodus. That should show you why damage dealt looking more Exodus favored, but still there's more Tier on the point. That's because the healers for Tier are just doing a slightly better job.
Yeah, and when it comes to a fight like this, that slight difference can make such a huge impact on the actual objective. We saw that before. The kill feed now turning back in Exodus's favor for now, but any moment we could see that go the other direction. So many high-end players on the side of Tier, names that we've seen throughout the tournament, names that we know can top the leaderboards over and over again. And when it comes time to get this cap, if you have just a few more people, if you have just slightly better healers, that is enough to make the difference here. So it's going to take some more coordination on either of these guilds' part to really get something decisive going here. Once the cap goes live, I suspect we're going to see a bit of a crawl from both of those bars. I don't think we're necessarily going to see the cap get stuffed like we did before. This is looking like it's going to be much, much closer.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Strikex, one of the, I wanted to follow him for a second. Strikex and Judo Dogwater are the, yes, I'm not joking, that's his name, are the two Cordy crossbows on the side of Tier here. Same two Cordys from last time for Exodus, no adjustments there. It's Fiercely and Frank for Exodus, but you saw the moment that he went for that spin right there on the side of Tier. Again, he got pulled immediately off the edge, and then there goes that cooldown. Exodus consistently doing such a phenomenal job of locking down Strikex. He just went for another spin. He got pulled off again on this side of your screen right there. Here he comes back up again, and there he goes again. Oh my god, cue the Benny Hill music. Poor Strikex just can't get up to the point, gets pushed off again. Strikex! He's getting pulled off the edge. He finally gets up one more time, and he's going to go down. And I'm telling you, that is the story of Exodus. That's how focused these guys are right now. They are locked in. Meanwhile, Fiercely gets a full spin-off on the point. The Cordy crossbows on the other side for Tier for Exodus rather, are doing a stronger job performing right now. And the first people to interact with this point are Exodus, coming back from the losers bracket, climbing in percentage. 20 minutes on the clock. As we talked about, these are full length matches here. The percentage is already climbing for Exodus's Tier. Struggles to get enough people on the point, and you have to think it's a little bit of everything moral in, but I think part of what makes this guild so strong is just lock on to one of the Cordys for Tier for a second and watch how hard of a time they have getting anything done.
Yeah, I've got Strikex's perspective here again, fighting on the stone, trying to get those spins. We've seen him able to get some pretty devastating spins before, but at the same time, that was pretty early in the match. It's possible that Exodus is locking in a bit now here and responding to that. Both the DPS are struggling on both guilds though, Blue. I was watching B-Blast a bit earlier. He's definitely getting hunted way more than he was against the Helloing match. And Strikex again getting tossed out just like he was when you were watching him a moment ago. These guys really know who to go after, especially Tier. Must have been watching those previous matches. They know Strikex struggling with the grappling hook too, trying to get back in those precious seconds that are going to be adding up now that that cap is live. I mean, they are not waiting for this cap at all, Blue. They are going straight for it. And as far as the cap itself, you have to wonder, is Tier waiting for the back cap on purpose, or are they just struggling to get anything channeled here? I'm not seeing them go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Tier is intentionally waiting right now. They have a lot of people on the point, but I'll be real. Exodus has more. They've got 31 people on the point, certainly having to commit a little bit more than their previous opponents on Halloween. You'll notice they usually sat around 25 or so people on the point consistently. Now we're seeing them sit a little bit closer to 30 as some people get wiped off. Some people are regrouping. So they're certainly taking this a little bit more seriously, not able to commit as many people off the point. Most of the skirmishing is going on right here on the point, as you see a lot of people here, but Tier struggling now with only 8 people on the point. Looks like they're just pulling away in percentage there intentionally. I have not seen Gorga step forward. That's one of the GOAT tanks on the side of Tier right there in the center of your screen. Gorga stepping forward right now, but I have not seen them attempt to interact with the stone yet. You have to think that this is intentional on the side of Tier here.
Yeah, I'm watching Vert now, one of the few Darkblighter Dagger Wand players that we are seeing playing in T2. Popular build in T1, but not a lot of people have tried to make it work in T2, and it's a swap that he has made pretty recently. Consistently one of the top DPS in Tier in every one of these matches. Will be able to, I'm sure he's going to be able to put up a similar performance tonight, but I'm kind of just checking to see if he's able to stay alive, if he's able to sustain himself in this major brawl here, and it looks like he is probably getting tons of damage with those wand dots with the help of that dagger there. Very interesting though that Tier is not going for the cap, Blue. I think that maybe that is a bit of a mistake here. It's going to take them time to get that contribution unless they are going for the strategy where they purposely let Exodus get the cap, and if that's the case, they do want to let that happen early enough. If it's this early in the match, that must just be their strategy, that they don't even want to contest it. I'm not sure if I saw any Tier tanks channeling on the objective even a single time.
Yeah, we see one static on the side of Exodus out here trying to interrupt regroups, but we see Wando and his static here to challenge them. So it ends up being one static versus one static. The regroups almost don't get interrupted at all. Chipotle Burrito, one of the best Scorpions in the world right now on this low ground right here. You saw just how much work he was doing early on in this match. You could see him skirmishing down here. This is exactly what you want to see out of your Scorpions. Such a difficult class to pilot, and he is going to go down, gets locked down, and I think bursted. It looked like by guillotine right there as the Exodus boys lock him out of this one. He should be back in just a few moments, but you can see Exodus just partially winning this skirmish, and now they're going to take over the regroup spawn camp right now. So again, really struggling out here. Now Tyr has not interacted with the point yet as we tick down underneath 15 minutes here. Again, Exodus playing this safe, getting the early cap off against this guild, making it look easy. Now we need to figure out, is this intentional from Tyr? We take a look at the leaderboards to kind of check and see if that's the case. I don't think so. Exodus wiping these leaderboards. Competitive is the only person on the leaderboard for Tyr right here. Chipotle Burrito, like I said, one of the best scorpions in the world down here at the bottom of the leaderboard, still leading for Tyr down there. Look over at the assists. Again, very Exodus favored across the board. Lights on the Spellblade there, and then Strikex on that Cordy crossbow, but rounding out the bottom of the leaderboards here. And we saw just how much struggle Strikex is having. If he's on the leaderboards, man, that does not bode well for Tyr here. Tyr, most damage taken, most damage healed, and that's great and everything, but they can't get presence on this Riftstone. They are really struggling to get in here right now, as you see Invuln down at half health, looking for his static, trying to stay together so he can pop that Blood Devotion, as I think it's out right now on this, unless my eyes are deceiving me here. It looks like it just faded right now, but looks like Tyr making a pretty solid push onto the point. Doo-Doo Dogwater gets a massive spin-off, and their Cordies start to see a little bit of life. We'll see if they go for the interact on the point yet. It's so interesting to see these pushes coming through for Tyr, these moments of brilliance, but they intentionally, it looks like, are just not interacting with the point here.
They are really just running the clock, maybe waiting for that 12 or even 10-minute mark. And it doesn't surprise me if their strategy was to let Exodus get the first cap, which it clearly seems like it was. I guess we shouldn't be too surprised that they are waiting just a little bit, because they don't want that same strategy used against them. If they initiate a cap at 15 minutes and then it goes through when there's 10 minutes left, then now Exodus are the ones in the position to take that back and win the fight. So there is some really interesting strategy developing here about capping and when to take that back. It's such a opposite strategy of what we have seen Exodus use in previous matches. I mean, they, as soon as it was live, they just decided to go for it and lock it down. It is possible that once Tyr starts to go for the cap, they will not be able to secure it. That is always a risk in a scenario like this. You think, okay, we'll just wait to the 10-minute mark and then we'll go for it. But what if you don't have enough collision resist? What if you don't have enough presence on the board near the objective to make that happen? That cap could end up taking a much longer than you think, especially against a guild like this.
Yeah, absolutely. We see a lot of yellow health bars currently on the point, so Tyr clearly able to step forward and make something happen here. This is not as one-sided as it was against Hallowing here. Certainly Hallowing put up a great fight, but they could not get this many people on the point. Doo-Doo Dogwater getting spin after spin after spin. They're doing a great job of locking down Strikex in this fight, but if you look at Doo-Doo, he's the one that whoever is assigned to him is not doing his job, as they keep allowing him to get spin after spin, and it's putting Tyr on top of the dais right now. And it looks like, again, Exodus has kind of lost control. Although they own the Riftstone right now, there's a lot more yellow health bars here. Funk over here trying to rally his boys back as he pushes across the stone right now. And there's a lot of clumped up health bars. It's only going to take one Cordy to really end everyone's careers down here. But honestly, everybody just moves back away. None of the Cordies were either off cooldown or able to get anything done. Croft doing what he can, but getting pulled off the edge. And you can see this is a constant battle of getting pushed off and shoved off all the time. Look, just to save even seconds. You can see how quickly you can recover this, Morlin. But look at this. Croft gets pulled up. He takes the grapple up. Then he takes the grapple up again. They push him off. He takes the grapple up again. He gets pulled off. Then he pulls other people off. It's a constant struggle as a frontline tank on this stone, because nobody really wants to focus the tanks. It's easier to just pull them off and then lock down the DPS and the healers, whoever's left.
Yeah, and I'm looking at some of these Tyr players, Blue, seeing some really interesting changes to their comp. Players like Prefinity and Rarkar that are known for being very strong on Gladiator are actually running the SNS and Spear rather than the Greatsword and Spear. And you have to wonder if that is a full-time switch that they've made, or if that is a map-specific swap that they've made. Because these guys definitely have very kitted out Gladiator builds, even Arc Boss weapons in some cases. But for this map, they are choosing to use that SNS, go the tankier route, and you know that a big portion of that has to do with those shoves and hooks, and possibly that is a result of the map that they're playing on here, getting so much value, continually throwing key players off into those grappling hooks and just wasting their time over and over again, basically just as good as killing them.
Yeah, and agree. And we come down to the 10 and a half minute mark, and that was the go line on the side of Tier. It does look like that they're going to start trying to interact with this stone, trying to get a cap going here, because they think it's going to take them about 5 minutes probably to cap this. And with so little time remaining, they think that they might just be able to hold on, but it gets interrupted, and we don't see them going for it again. You see Juju Dogwater in the middle of everyone. We'll see if he can't get a spin down, as that would turn the tide in Tier's favor very heavy. Oh my gosh. Does he have it off? No, he gets pulled up. This is what I'm talking about. Now he's got to run around to the grapple. He takes the grapple up, but now his buffs, and guys, this is so important for Cordy's. His buffs are going to fade. That's going to make the spin way less impactful, but I say that, but he got 4 kills out of the spin as it was. He does manage to get it off, and again, that's due to doing the Lord's work right there for Tier. Tier now dominating on the stone as Exodus in a lot of trouble. Refinity is going to go for this cap. They're just going to focus him. Oh my God! The death is the best CC, as it turns out. He tried to interact with the stone 100-0 on a Crusader in less than 2 seconds right there. And I think that's Exodus's strategy here. Morlente is going to step forward. He's going to try to interact with it. They do manage to CC him. He's going to try to interact one more time, I'm sure, in a moment. But there's the Cordy spin going down. Tay taking a lot of damage. He's going to die immediately, and that's what I'm saying. They're focusing down the frontline cappers on the side of Tier. Tier in a lot of trouble now because their frontline just can't get control of the stone. Now we're under 9 minutes, and their frontline can't get forward. Anyone that gets near the Riftstone is just getting immediately obliterated by the spell blades on this side of Exodus. A brilliant strategy coming down here. They capped it right away. They knew that they were going to wait to the last moment, and now instead of consistently CCing them, they're saying turn and focus the tanks if you're a spell blade. Everyone lock them down, and now again Tier really struggling to make something happen right now. We're getting down to the 8.5 minute mark. I'm starting to sweat a little bit, but if we get down to the 6 minute mark, I'm super sweating for Tier right now, Marlon.
This is the risk of waiting so long to go for that cap. Tier coming into this match is the undefeated guild with that confidence of 10 minutes is plenty of time. It only takes us 5 minutes to cap it, but this is exactly the problem I'm talking about. We're now at the 8 minute mark. They've been trying to get the cap for 2 minutes straight and not able to do so. We know that Tier has some crazy geared tanks. We saw that in the fight against Supple. Absolutely had the tank advantage there when it came to the collision game. These guys might be running 2800 collision resistance or something insane, but Exodus just says, okay, well, we might not be able to pull you off the stone, but we'll just absolutely blast you 100-0. Something that we have not really been able to do so far in Tier 2. Tank's notorious right now for being so hard to kill, even with 10 people hitting them, but Exodus looking like they're just not even struggling. When they see Prefinity on the stone, they just blast him off.
Yeah, they finally did interact with the stone. They did get that interact off. He went down as a result of it, but Tay is the one that ultimately gets the interact off. But the problem for Tier here is they do not have enough bodies in here. Where's Croft? Where's Odie? Where are their top DPS here? Trying to get onto the stone right now. They only have 17 people. 33 people for Exodus standing tall, just blasting away the DPS and the healers on the side of Tier, pulling the tanks off the edge consistently over here. Here's Dudu for Tier. He's going to try to dash in and try to get a spin off. There's a spin right there, and that was pretty big. He gets 3-4 kills on that one. That was pretty good for Tier, and you can see them bursting onto the stone now. There's Vert trying to get in here on this Dark Blighter as well. He's invisible now as they keep trying to focus him and push him off the edge. He's trying to get his DPS down. Now they're the ones with 31 people on the stone, and that's how quickly it turns. Tier trying to flip the switch. They almost ran out of that cap right there. I'm able to save it at about 5% or so, and now they're climbing. They're at 13.5%. They don't have a moment to lose on this one, Moreland. They only have 6 minutes on the clock to get this percentage all the way to 100.
Yeah, they are climbing, Blue, but they are climbing somewhat slowly, and there's some sketchy back and forth here where it looks like they might be at risk of losing that cap completely, but they were able to hold it, and they were able to continue that climb. They have enough time to do this, but only if they are super solid, consistent, and focused for the next 5 minutes straight. Again, you could tell they wanted to initiate that cap at the 10-minute mark. They did not want to initiate it at the 6-minute mark. This is going to be a much sketchier situation for them. They've got to go all the way 0 to 100 here, or else they are going to run out of time. Exodus knows this too. They stalled those caps. They bought that time, and now they are ready to reap the rewards. If they could just hold out for a few more minutes, then they can get their first win against an undefeated guild.
Oh my god, but they are ticking up so dangerous right now, and this isn't Ellowing. Ellowing was only able to get to the 30%. They've already cleared that in tier now, showing that they are a stronger guild than they fought previously. They're at 37% or so, and stalling right now. This is right around where, again, Ellowing stalled at around 30% and then went straight to 0. We are at a full stop at 36% right now on the side of tier, and they cannot get this going. We're under 5 minutes left on the clock. Invuln gets pulled off the point right there, as it looks like Exodus trying to stand tall. Can they upset what looked like a guild that was going to go all the way in this one? Everyone just pouring onto the point. You see Gnarly Gnar on the northeast side over there doing what he can to try to get onto the point and contribute. Krunkan gonna get bursted down, but look at that kill feed. Super back and forth, 23 to 22. It is one person on the point that makes the difference right now. You only need one more person than your opponent, but even still, Exodus knows that, and they've got them down at 28%. Now they're going to move back up to 31% as they start to rally one more time. It's going to take one good Cordy spin. Could be about 10% on the clock here, Moreland.
Blue, it's such a crazy map. The positioning here is so delicate. You can see you have to be in that inner circle here. It's not good enough just to get up on this platform, and you can't hide behind those pillars. If you're going to be counting for contribution, you have to be wide open and exposed for damage, which means everything has to be perfect. Your tanks and your healers have to be paying attention every second of this map. We can see many players opting actually not to give contribution here, Blue. Even though this is so close, even though everybody is so important, the absolute danger of standing in this little death circle here. We have 10-15 players from both sides opting to just stand outside and right next to the circle and just rain damage from outside of the cap.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. This is going to come down to the wire. 3 minutes left on the clock. Time is running out for tier right now as they try to rally against this Exodus squad that just seems so intimidating to so many guilds. Can they make it happen? They're still stalled at about 30% right now as Exodus seems to have their number. They only have 15 people on the point. Exodus coming out strong in round 1 of this best of 3 match. They might just hand tier their first loss of the tournament, Moreland.
They are still hovering around that 30, Blue, but I just don't know. There's time. There really is still time. It's crazy that Exodus can hold tier off for this long. I doubt that tier has ever had trouble securing a cap in 5 minutes, even against a difficult opponent. Even if your opponent is a little bit stronger than you, often you can still slowly climb that cap up. But here, Exodus has basically frozen them at that 30% mark, but all it's going to take here is one devastating push from tier, and that can still change in this final minute.
Yeah, absolutely. 38% and climbing now. They just have a few more people on the point than their opponents, but they can't afford any more stalling. They're climbing up to 42% as tier is going to get very, very close to this one. 45. Do they have enough time? They need to go Guardians, Remedies, everything they've got. Everyone pulled to the point. You see Gorga, Trey, Clover, Bob, everyone running onto the point right now to contribute as they take over 50%. That's good pacing for them. They have 30 people over 29. Just barely more people than their opponent as they take up to 55%. Exodus just trying to hold on for dear life here, Moreland.
Yep, and even Vert jumping on the cap as that Dagger 1 trying to stay alive. Every single body from tier needs to be here. And They are making it happen. That's what I'm saying. It just takes one crazy surge in the final minute. They have the presence to be able to pull this off. And Tier does not want to have to fight 4 or 6 matches tonight, Blue. They want to fight 2 matches and close it out and get their Lucent. But it is so close here in these final seconds.
71% and climbing, 45 seconds left on the clock. It's going to be a photo finish in our very first round. Chipotle Burrito has now rallied to the point. Scorpion just now to be here. Doo-doo Dogwater with an 8-kill spin. They pull ahead. There are over 2 times as many people on the point. 86% for Tier. Where did this come from? 89. Huge kill feed for Xbot. The generational talent coming through. 96, 97, 18 seconds on the clock. I think they've got it. Tier comes home with Grand Elon. Unbelievable.
20 seconds to go, Blue, and they are able to secure it. Where did that push come from? That was absolutely devastating in those final minutes. Exodus was stuffing that push, locked it at 30 for so long, and then we just see it go straight from 30 to 100. Absolute full momentum. You can tell that the comms for Tier must have been just absolute fire for that final push that was so strong against Exodus, a guild that is impossible to push, but they just absolutely bulldozed them there with 15 seconds remaining.
I think I peed a little bit. That was literally insane. If you aren't bricked up right now, yes, that's a throwback to our boys over in Bricked, which have mainly maced with Tier right now. If you aren't bricked up right now, I don't know what to tell you. I'm getting more excited about this than most people do about their firstborn child. Odie, Zero, Doo-Doo Dogwater, B-Blast competitive, the top 5 kills of the lobby right there. 135 assists for Zerog on the Liberator of all things in this matchup right here. 127 for Ensign. Looks like DWN and Rarkar, the top assists of the lobby for Tier down here. Top damage dealt in the lobby, 5.9 million, almost rounding out to 6 million for Zero from Exodus on this Liberator. Look at his loadouts. He's double arc boss on this one. 5.9 million for Ensign, Odie, Serrano, Rarkar, Doo-Doo Dogwater, all rounding out that top 5 of damage dealt. Damage taken Tier at the top of the damage taken leaderboard. Rarkar, Phobias, Crunk God, Massive, Hailer, and Odie, the top tanks of the lobby, some of which are healers, some of which are DPS users. But you know what? They made it happen. 3.7 million damage healed right now for Massive, the best healer in the lobby. And this is when I said these guys are the real goats. Massive, Green Velvet, Enman, Xanax, Clover. These are the guys that made the difference for Tier right here on that final push. Gnarlynar, again, topping the leaderboards for Exodus. Teapot and Emmy Boo rounding out the top 3 for Exodus. But oh my God. Oh, what a photo finish right there, Borland.
Insane. I mean, seeing how much damage Exodus puts out, a 6 million damage Liberator, I don't think I've ever seen that in my entire life on any region. Most of those guys have rolled over to Spellblade or something by now, but Exodus still putting up crazy damage, and yet they still slip away in those final seconds, and it is the healer difference, Blue. Like you said, those are the guys that made it count at the end when you needed to be alive at the critical moment. Tier had the bodies for a moment there. They had twice as many bodies. I don't know how you get twice as many players on a stone against a guild like Exodus, but when Tier needed it in that last minute, I don't know, they somehow pulled it off.
Unbelievable. There's only one word for it. Cinema. That was absolute cinema. Coming down to 20 seconds on the clock, it looked like Exodus had that match in the bag and just unable to come up with it. Into the 20 seconds is the difference between you taking it. They had control for 19 minutes and 40 seconds in that match and did not come up with the win in that lobby. That just shows you how close of a game Tier is playing with these guys. Now going up 1-0, Tier is 1 victory away from taking home the grand finals and crowning themselves potentially the top guild in the entire world, Moreland.
Blue, if Tier is able to sweep this entire tournament without even losing a single match against any of these guilds, not against, even a guild like Exodus, look, we already saw what a crazy strong performance Exodus had against both Hallowing and Supple, considered by many to be the strongest guilds in the whole region, wiped off the board by Exodus, and now Exodus can't even come up with a win against Tier. Like, the level of competitiveness that we're seeing here, you can't even describe it. It's like you think that these guilds are going to hit a ceiling at some point, and they just don't.
I mean, it also helps that these guys play against each other. They scrim against each other. They know each other, so they know their tendencies. Tier absolutely abusing that in that last match there. Exodus thought they had it, and then just falling apart into the closing seconds of the match just shows you how close Tier can get this. They have still technically not lost a single map in NA East, which is easily the most competitive region. We did not see it be this close in any other region. But I will say the EU finals went all the way to the third game in the first best of three, or in the best of three format there. So that was at least close. But overall, you compare it to the other guilds, it's been very back and forth all tournament long in NA East here. And now again, you can see how close these guilds at the very top are. Interestingly enough, we are seeing that switch over to SNS Spear, interestingly enough, but I'm fairly certain that these people are broke, Morlin, because in EU, they were running Del Nozoa's Spear, and in NA, they're running Naru's Sawfang Spear. Can you speak to that a little?
No, Naru's is legit. Especially if you're playing it as a tank. Yeah, because you have the extra.
But Del Nozoa, I mean, come on.
No, you're playing the push-pull game. Look, Del Nozoa thematically is one of the coolest weapons in the game. Yeah, everyone wants to float around, and cause a wave, knocking people off. But at the end of the day, that thing doesn't have the resist and the chance on it, and Naru's does. And when you're playing a game like this, where it's build versus build, we saw the tank difference in Tier versus Supple, and we might see that again here. If you're the tank that has more collision resist, if you're the tank that has more collision chance, and you're playing a map where there are ledges, then that's just value. That's just one of the best values you can have.
Yeah, I'll be honest. Well, some of them are running Delo Spear, and some of them are running the Naru Spear. And clearly that chat is split on this as well. So I don't know, man. It could go either way. We are seeing the Gladiators running that Del Nozoa Spear as well there, but they're not quite as focused on tanking as the Narus are. We're waiting for both guilds to join the lobby here. Let's talk a little bit. I'll let you cover pick ban this time, since I kind of banged it out last time.
So it looks like Tier is going to be banning this time. They decided to ban GA, GA is already banned because we already competed on it. They are going to ban Morakai, Talus, Kalazan, and Adentis, a full sweep of T1 bans, kind of leaving all the crazy maps open. And it looks like that means we're going to Tier 2, Blue. The pick is going to be Manticus.
Manticus is a crazy pick for the grand finals of NA East, potentially your last match. Exodus, with their backs to a wall, they're going to Manticus, yes, the Supple Graveyard, on this one, as they went down on this map too. And I will be honest with you, I love the Manticus pick. I think that they prepped this ahead of time. Exodus, they are the sweatiest guild of the tournament. As Brandonger said, they are super sweaty. They have a strategy ready for this, and Manticus has a lot of strategy involved in this. And I think that they're ready for this over their opponent Tier here.
No, I think they are. I mean, we saw some of the strategy that Exodus employed. This is where they knocked Supple out. It was on this map. And they played it in a way that was very different than the way that we typically see guilds play Manticus, where they play those chokes on the side. Exodus basically just ignored the choke points, which is kind of a scandalous strategy. Like, I would expect you to lose if you ignore the chokes, but Exodus understands the macro on another level, and they were able to pull out a strategy without using those side choke points that was just impossible for Supple to deal with. Now, Tier saw that match, so they probably know somewhat what to expect here. here. It's going to be interesting to see what direction this fight goes, if Exodus is going to ignore those choke points once again, or if they're going to try to mix it up.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you talk about Manticus, you've got the all the way around. You can wrap all the way around, get onto the high ground, or you can approach from multiple choke points from the low ground. You can come at it from either side, up those two ramps on either side. You see people doing spawn camping tactics. You see people spawning up top, jumping across, and then flying into the stone. There's a lot of different things you can do on Manticus. I'm very excited to see what these guilds have prepared for us. It does look like the compositions have shifted ever so slightly as people adjust their builds, adjust their gear, and that's something we should talk about a little bit more, Lynn, because like when you talk about the best of the best, every single player on both teams, they have multiple gear loadouts, multiple weapon loadouts, multiple presets for basically everything, and you know that between matches they are min-maxing what worked and what didn't work the match before.
Absolutely, and especially it comes down to what strategy is going to be used on a map like GA. You've got cliffs in every direction. You've got that circle, and there's a few entrances where it's flat, but most of the time, if you pick a direction, you can throw someone off. Now, against Manticus, depending on where you are, or on Manticus rather, depending on where you're positioning, that might not be an option. You might not have a cliff to throw people off of. There is a cliff that is right by the objective, but the objective is big on this map. You can play the upper platform, and if you get tossed off that upper platform, it doesn't really matter. You're still in the fight. So we might see maybe some of those SNS players swap over to a gladiator or something like this to get some more firepower. Spear is certainly going to have a lot of food in this match. There are some tight hallways to fight in, some small corridors and things. Even the platform up top that we're going to be battling on, there's not a whole lot of room to move around. So it does not surprise me at all that these guys have a different loadout and a different mindset when it comes to this map compared to the previous one.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like both guilds are in the lobby. I give the go-go to the tournament director. We are on Manticus for potentially the final map of NA East in the Best in Guild Talandre Championship Series. Who has conquered Talandre and who will come up short? Who walks home with all the Lucent? Both guilds flying in using those morphs, trying to get to the stone before their opponent's tier gets there slightly sooner. They have the edge, but now the red health bar is showing up for Exodus now, and Izuna gets first blood in this one. Massive, getting really low, a lot of tier, really clumped up on that high ground up there as they try to group up together, Morlin, but I think it's yellow with the health bars on the stone initially here.
It is, and Tyr knows that Exodus wants that position, which is why they rushed it so hard. We saw a bit of a fight break out initially on the spawn-in on that upper area where people like to try to catch respawn, but they did not linger at all. They ignored that fight and went straight for that platform. This is the platform that Exodus used to dominate Supple in their previous match. Tyr knows that Exodus wants this, and they were able to get here just a little bit faster in order to get set up. And once you are set up here, it is really difficult to approach. I mean, what angle do you take to fight this? There's walls in every direction. You can try to come from up top, but it just takes so long. So they really wanted to be the first ones here. They were able to do that, but now Exodus kind of actually taking it back, Blue. I'm not sure who's going to win this platform fight.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, it's so back and forth. This is laser close. This is even closer than the kill feed we saw in the first round. You see a yellow kill feed, then you see a red kill feed, then you're back the other way. Axbot impressively getting a lot of kills there. Strikex with a good spin, being pulled to the low ground here. There's so much action going on this stone on all sides, basically, as Morland gives you that bird's eye view. And I'm going to look to the low ground here. You can already see Chipotle Burrito trying to spawn camp. You saw both of these statics duking it out in the previous round as well. Certainly one of the best and only Scorpions we see in this match. Gets stealth right there, avoids the guillotine, gets very healthy, looking to pump down some damage. Is he going to find Kenray? No, he's going to catch a heal. Now it's Chipotle in a lot of trouble. Now he's going to catch a heal as well. Abuses that stealth once again as Kitten comes to his rescue right there. He's found Thara. He's going to lock him down. And again, interrupting these regroups on this side of Exodus here is so important.
I'm watching the main perspective over here, Blue, and it's a little bit different than last time. We saw Zerog previously from Exodus camping this upper platform and just getting an insane amount of value against Supple. But eventually he was killed by one of these Supple staff members, Kailash, who came and hit him with that 1v1 a couple times. Now he's got a little bit of a posse up here. We got 3 different players holding this high ground. Zerog, the 6 million damage Liberator. I don't know what they are feeding that guy, but he's not playing it solo up here. He's got a little bit of backup this time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Zerog, yeah, I don't know what's in the water here, but he's got double arc boss, and he is firing. And normally, I do not like pigeoning from my Liberators, but you know what? I'm not going to argue. He's clearly better than I am at the game. I'm not going to argue if you're topping the leaderboards at the end of the day. Neither will his shot caller. Al Capel getting really low on the stone here, but able to heal himself back to full health, gets pulled off the edge, and that is always a problem on Manticus here. We have 1 minute and 20 seconds before the stone does open up. It's been very back and forth. Let's take a look at the leaderboards to see just who is winning this one. Izuna, 13 kills. What a gap right there on the Gladiator. What an absolute goat. Right there. 7 for Sieg, Bleach, Chipotle, Burrito, Competitive, Aka, and Zerog trying to keep up on that one. Damage dealt, Doo-Doo Dogwater certainly topping that with that Cordy crossbow. Izuna, once again, look at the damage that guy's putting out. Odie as well for Exodus, doing a great job. Strikex in as well for Tyr. But again, Exodus looks like they're starting to pull a little bit of head. Tyr taking a lot more damage, but also healing a lot more as well. And we saw that before. Funk Monk, Gnarlynar, and Teapot, the top healers of the lobby for Exodus. And you can see them all grouped up. Frank collapsing down now on the fight with his Cordy. We'll see if he can't get a good spin off right now. There's the spin on the stairs right there. He didn't pick up very many kills on that one, but his guild did. And that is what is important when you are a Cordy in this case. And I think that Exodus slightly has the edge right before this point opens up.
We're really starting to see this snowball now, Blue. It looked very 50-50, but once you get established on this map, it is very difficult to take it back. And Exodus is pretty established up top, although I will say they are playing a lot more close to the entrance of the stone than they were against Supple. They kind of just ignored the entrances against Supple. They are not going to do that against Tyr. They don't want any Tyr members at all leaking in here. They definitely have control at the moment, but this is just such an interesting map, and it will naturally spread the fight out between both those left and right sides. So even if you have control, you got to decide, are we going to let people get close to the stone, or are we going to try to split up and hold 2 fronts?
Yeah, Sovlang does get the interact on the stone there, and you see what is going on. 31 people to 15 on the point for Exodus right now. You have to think that this is in part due. Oh my goodness, look at this high ground battle. You have Shunks coming in here to try to flank this, but who's trapped in here with who? Tank Vicious now under a lot of pressure. He's the only Spellblade. Never mind, Lamborghini comes out of stealth, pulls them off the edge, and turns a 3v2 into a 1v2. Who said, oh my god, he gets pushed off the edge there as well, and now it is a 1v1 on the high ground. Zerog goes back to fighting. Oh, I guess he's just gone. Tank's Vicious just going to throw out some damage right here at his Liberator versus Spellblade right now. Sadly for Tank's Vicious, it looks like he's the one taking a lot of damage. What are they feeding? Zerog right now. It's a 1v1 between these two. No healers to be seen right now. He goes into stealth, charges that focus fireball, but why he just doesn't take any damage? He's a Terminator. Zerog wins it out. What a crazy static battle that we just saw right there.
What happened to that tank, Blue? I think he may have shield charged himself off the side. Nobody pushed him or anything. And I wonder if Tanks is kind of wishing that he had a little bit of backup there. That was crazy. Zerog now using the Liberator skill to pull his friend back up on the platform, using that staff pull there, which is such an interesting strategy. Exodus really just locking down the macro strats here on top of those small skirmishes. I thought Tyr was going to just knock him off there. I thought that was over. That is crazy how he turned it around.
I can't believe how back and forth that was, but he pulled him back to the high ground, like you said, to try to help. He said, get back up here, I need you. And now it's just Ensign on the high ground as Zerog looks like he either got knocked off or is on the low ground somewhere now. He might have to go all the way around. I'm not sure his opponent or his buddy there has the pull equipped. Good Cordy spin coming down right there. And Izuna's going to pick up a lot of kills. 3 kills for Vert. 4 kills for Vert right there. Holy Dark Blighter Batman. man. Interestingly enough, Vert left his family. He had a family reunion this weekend, and he asked me, he said, Blue, can you do me a solid? Can you stall the finals match by 20 minutes so I can abandon my family and get home for what is really important? And I said, I got you, bro. So we literally stalled. That's why we were in starting soon so long today, as we got Vert to his finals match here for tier. Interestingly enough, and he is here. I think he literally bought a laptop so that he could play this from the family gathering at home, because I don't think he's live right now, but he is here for the boy, playing on probably an Alienware or something, doing his best, and he is certainly pumping down a good amount of damage right now. Offense right here on the low ground, and again, 30% in climbing on the side of Exodus, but Tyr has control of the stone currently, but only by a hair, Marlon.
Yeah, and he did not ditch the family reunion to lose, Blue, so they are going to be coming out as hard as possible here. And I love what Vert is able to do with that build. You know, again, a lot of people abandoned the dagger wand, and instead, if they wanted to do the curse bomber, they're just playing it shield wand, but he is bringing it back and making it work again. And I bet we'll see some copycats start to pick that up soon with how well he has been performing. But I mean, this is just, it's crazy how back and forth this is. Even down below and up top, both teams trying to decide, is it worth it sending people all the way up to that pigeon location so they can get those free hits? The fact that this upper platform here counts toward the objective, you can tell that both guilds absolutely value this more than anything else. They will put way more people fighting over this upper platform than they will even on the stone itself, which is kind of wide open right now. And whichever guild can hold that, in theory, can snowball, can finish clearing everyone out, and then can just prevent any reinforcements from coming through. But neither guild, despite having some decisive pushes, has been able to be the one to lock this position down.
Yeah, interestingly enough, that fight is still going. Thank God you're giving us the upper perspective here in that picture-in-picture. I'm looking at the low ground right now to see how the statics are fighting down here, and it's still Chipotle Burrito and Crunkon doing their best to lock that down. I don't see anyone spawning. Oh, it does look like that now a lot of people are spawning from the upper spawn as well. Frank, what are you doing? Frank, they need your people need you, Frank. Here's one of the Cordy crossbows on the side of Exodus. We'll get his perspective as he flies back to the fight here. He's gonna land with almost no stamina in the tank. There we go. He needs to get buffed up, and in this fight right now, you see Vert on the stairs. That's a priority target for him right there, but he doesn't want to spin right away. He's trying to get buffed up. He does get his buffs. His static looks like they must be right around him here. He's going to go for a spin any second now. But again, both guilds have now initiated a cap on the point. Tyr not waiting, interestingly enough, until the 10.5-minute mark to initiate their cap. They have started climbing in percentage too. It is neck and neck. Both guilds right around the 20 to 25% or so mark right now as Exodus gets back on top. There's Frank's spin right there, and that's why they give him the Cordy, because that was a very impactful spin. No, he didn't get many kills, but the rest of his guild was right there with him to basically mop that up. You see Axebot on the high ground right here. Not really sure why he's running the Crusader build up. Oh, there we found out why he's pulling people off the edge. He gets some priority targets right there as he moves over. Zales gets really low and now moves over toward the edge. Haha, says who got who. They stop to hit him, and Zales says, get out of here. Pulls him off the edge. Gotcha. Pulls him off the side of the edge, and when you think he's low on health and you can kill him, he catches a heal from his healer and pulls them right back off the edge. Both guilds back and forth, Marlon.
Look how much focus on this upper platform. Xerog actually now, instead of being on that well, now he went down, but a moment ago he was all the way up on this very back ledge, Blue, where he could only hit people on the top platform. And even though he's so far back, he has a seeker, just a pocket healer. It's hard to put into words how eccentric it is to give a Liberator a solo pocket healer. I guess it's not solo now that he has staff pulled his buddy Ensign back up, but still, just they must consider this to be such a valuable position to dedicate one of their healers just to babysitting two casters up here. But you can actually see it working, Blue. That's what's so funny about it.
Yeah, and they are technically contributing to the stone. I had to get confirmation from other guilds in the tournament because you are really far up here. Interestingly enough, as long as you're in this radius, these 3 people are still contributing to the stone and pumping down some of the highest DPS in the lobby right now. If you look at the DPS, oh my goodness, look at Exodus pulling ahead now to 42. Tier falling behind at 15% right now with 12.5 minutes left to go right now. Tier, it looks like Exodus is Izuna, Dudu, Dogwater. Look how back and forth. Exodus, Tier, Exodus, Tier, Exodus, Exodus, Tier, Tier, Exodus, Tier. Back and forth the whole way down. Izuna doing a great job. Zerog up there as well. We saw the Terminator himself. Odie at 2.9 million damage done on a Gladiator. Dudu, Dogwater, Zerog, PRY, Izuna, and Serrano all with the most damage done in the lobby. But look how back and forth it is. Damage taken though. Holy moly. Tier with a tremendous amount of damage taken, and that should tell you that Exodus is definitely winning the match overall, because when you look over at the healing, it's not as one-sided. You see Funk Monk on the leaderboards, Gnarly Gnar, Emibu, even though their guild is taking a lot less damage, they're still managing to get those healers in the top end right now, and that's why they're just slightly ahead in percentage. You see Shonks and Tanks Vicious did manage to push that crew off the high ground there, Morlin.
Yeah, the revenge of Tanks Vicious coming back and shoving Insane and Zerog off, and now he has a pocket healer of his own. It's interesting how much resources are being dedicated just to this pigeon position, and we can see it possibly paying off. The fight is still going after this upper platform here. Up until this point, Exodus has had a slight but consistent lead when it comes to bodies on the point. They are consistently pulling ahead in that percentage there. But can having the pigeon position make the difference here when a fight is this close? Perhaps having a Seeker and a Staff up top is what makes the difference. But now we're going to continue to see little skirmishes over this position. Both guilds do want it. They don't want to overcommit to it, but they just can't ignore the value of having these Staff players free cast up here. It looks like you didn't block trying to go for the 1v2, but killing a Spellblade with a pocket healer just going to be very difficult for any class. I'm sure Zerog and Insane want to have some kind of rebuttal to this, but I don't see them here yet.
Yeah, Stigmates, actually, interestingly enough, there were some spawn campers up on the high ground on this stone earlier. If we look over to our left, the spawn camper standing up there, and he stopped, dropped out of the air, locked him down, dropped the guillotine, killed that guy, started taking too much damage, dropped to the low ground, then had to battle his way all the way to the stone. It is a fight from spawn all the way to the stone between these two guilds right now. And I'll be honest with you, Exodus winning out 59%. Clearly what they are doing is just a step ahead of their opponent. Oh, ever so slightly. And I'll be honest with you, we tick underneath the 10-minute mark here. They're taking this in such a slow, methodical manner. I'll be honest with you, Morlin, I'm not sure that the reverse cap is possible on Tier's side if they let them run away with this one. Tier is down at 12.5% and falling right now. They've got 3 people committed to the high ground, but they're sitting here with their head in their hands. They have nothing to do. They're all on union break. Shanks just puts the healing circle down on himself, and now, again, they've overcommitted. Exodus dominating the low ground position. They have 41 people. I think that Tier has realized the position that they're in. They've pulled off the stone completely. I think they're going to hand the cap over to Exodus, and then they're going to try to reverse cap this with about 8.5 or so minutes remaining. Oh my gosh! No way! Exodus pulls every single person off the stone and says, no. We are not going to allow you to cap this right now or reverse cap this. They pull everyone back onto the stone. It looks like they're going to get up to 88, 89. Have they changed their minds on this one? They have changed their minds. Exodus is going to go ahead and take this all the way to the cap right now. Tier all the way backed up. And I'll be honest with you, that 10 seconds might just be the difference. We talked 10 or 20 seconds about being the difference right now. And now we're seeing Zerog fire down on those 3 people on the low ground. Tanks Vicious really low. Gonna throw the meteor. Did he kill him? Did he get him? He's still standing in stealth right there. He's at full health, though. And Zerog firing to the low ground. I'm not sure where Tier actually is. They probably are going up and around. They've got 1 static here. I'll check the high ground positions here on this side of Tier. I don't see them, Morlin. I don't know where Tier actually is. I've got 1 static with Kitten static right there. The rest of Tier, though, are they going up and around? Have you found them?
You have to wonder if your average tier player even knows the route to get up there. It could be a pretty slow regroup here. They definitely pulled off the stone there, and man, it was interesting that Exodus decided to go ahead and finish that cap off, because every precious second is going to count here in terms of stalling. But now tier is stalling against themselves. They really need to get this going. Yeah, they don't have enough time. It took them a full 6 minutes to get that cap. We're pushing the 7-minute mark now, and they barely eked out that 6-minute cap last time, so they need to get here right now, Blue.
And now tier is going to have 7 minutes to cap this. It took 6 minutes to cap that first point. Actually, a little bit, definitely well over 6 minutes to get that cap down on the side of Exodus. Now they've got all their healers and everyone. I don't know what they're waiting for. 7 minutes and falling right now. You gotta go. They're not gonna have enough time to reverse cap this regardless of what you do. They are still waiting right now. Tier has not pulled the trigger. Now they're gonna come down to this low ground here and start to elevator down. There's Tay. He's gonna land on the stone. Remember, they have to interact with the stone and they can get pushed off the whole way. Prefinity is gonna go for that cap. The rest of Tier now dropping down from the skies to try to make something happen in this fight. But oh my God, double Cordy spin on the point itself to keep Tier from capping that point, regardless of how many people you have on the high ground. Their tanks, everybody that can cap the point, just got wiped on the low ground by a double corny spin. The spell blades focusing them down. Can they get the cap? They do get the cap, and they have 4 people standing up on this high ground. Zerogi not contributing to the point now. They're gonna start climbing. 7% now. They have got to stay on top of this. They only have just over 6 minutes to cap this. Have they waited too long? They waited 20 seconds was the difference in the last match. They should have enough time in this one. 34 people on the point to 27 from Exodus. They have the edge right now, Moreland. Do they have enough time, though?
We saw just absolutely inches how close that cap was. That first cap stopped at 99%, and then the second cap, Prefinity's health, I swear, dropped to about 3% there while he was mid-cap. That could have been a disaster for Tier, but they were barely able to get on the board, and now they are climbing. I mean, 5 minutes is a good amount of time to climb, Blue. We saw it took them about 10 minutes in total last time, but that's because they struggled to get that initial cap. Once they had the cap, I think it was around 6 that it took for them to channel, but with only 20 seconds remaining, so we are looking at a very similar timeline here. They can slowly make progress. Exodus locked them up really hard around that 30% mark last time around. Tier making a very strong initial push here, but I don't know if it is as decisive as they were hoping. We're seeing much more of a 50-50 here now as Exodus rallies.
God, dude, this is every single match is going to be down to the wire in this one. 13% in climbing, but oh so slowly. They are not on pace to cap this Riftstone. I'll be honest with you. If you've got Guardians, I think you take control of the stone right now and it's over. If you get the full control of the stone, I don't think that Exodus has time to rally back and get all their people back on the stone. What you need is one convincing wipe, and that's what we're actually seeing out of Exodus right now. Tier does control the high ground, but they're not doing much with that control up there, and they're getting wiped off the low ground. I'm not sure that they've got it on Manticus. 4 minutes on the clock. I would be remiss if I counted them out early, but I'll be honest with you. I think that Exodus took the early cap on the stone. Tier gave it to them for free, and I think that they overthought their position here. I think that they conceded. They took too long to regroup, and now, yes, they had advantage for just a moment, but they didn't get the critical wipe that they need to. Now there's 40 people on the point for Exodus. If this cap gets snuffed out, Moreland, it is over.
Yeah, and I think it might get stuffed. They were able to stuff one of the caps that they had previously, and Tier had to get that recap, which took so long. I think this might get stuffed here. Exodus is just so good at locking his position down once they have it. Once you have that defensive advantage on Manticus, it's so hard to push against, and there is definitely not enough time for a recap. They know what's on the line here. Remember, if Tier wins here, it's all over. The whole tournament is over if Tier wins, but if Exodus wins, they can still make a crazy comeback here, and it looks like this could be the beginning of that run. Tier knows what's at stake too here, though. If Tier can make this happen, they secure first place, they secure those Lucent, they secure the reputation of being absolutely untouched in the tournament. If they can just pull this off in the final 3 minutes here, then all the glory, all the spoils and Lucent go to them. So they have to know, there's no way they're sitting back, okay, well, we still have some matches. They can end this right now, and they know it, but I just don't know. Exodus has such a fortified position.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, 2.8%, and they're clawing with their fingernails, but Exodus is ever so slightly out in front of this one, 1%. Are they gonna shut the door? This is not going to be a clean sweep under 1%. The door has officially been shut. Exodus will bring this back to a 1-1. We are going to the full best of 3. Tier will not make the clean run through the tournament in a nail-biting Riftstone right here, but on Tier's side, they get to pick the next map, Moreland.
They do get to pick, and just to be clear, everyone, this is Tier's first loss in the entire tournament. They were looking invincible up until this point, but Exodus has now shown that even gods can bleed here, and so Tier is going to have to be really careful with that next pick. It could still all end. It's still one match away from being over, but wow, Exodus has really shown you can't count them out yet. Despite that match on Grand Elon, these guys still have plenty of strategies on other maps, and they are not going to just fall apart in those final few minutes like they did before.
Yeah, absolutely. All stuck on the ramp now. They know that this is all but over. They're just going to fight for kills now. With 1 minute left to go, we will go to a 1-1 series here, and I'll be honest with you, Tier has got to be reeling a little bit right now. They barely won the first match, 20 seconds on the clock. I can pee, thank God, he says. He finally died. Thana goes down and says, thank God I can go to the bathroom, as he sprints away right now. And honestly, look, that's how it is. When you take this game this seriously, you are fighting in the grand finals of the very first tournament of its kind. It's the first large-scale PvP tournament we have seen in the MMO genre, and certainly the largest tournament that Throne and Liberty has ever seen worldwide, in the most competitive region worldwide as well. And it is a nail-biter. What a delivery on this series so far. Exodus bringing it back 1-1 opens up so many opportunities. Tier gets to pick the next map, but if Exodus wins this first best of 3, we have to do it again. We go again.
And so the maps that we fought on are excluded now, but if Exodus wins this whole set, then all of that starts over, and we could see an encore of GA or Manticus in the next set. But it's all going to come down to this next fight. Exodus fighting for their life here once again. They were able to hold on this time, and they're going to have to hold on again in just a moment.
Yes, they are. Odie, Izuna, Blee, Doodoo Dogwater, the usual suspects of these lobby. CYG coming in as well, doing a great job. Akko, competitive, Serrano, Chipotle, Burrito, Fiercely, and B-Blast all at the top of the defeats leaderboards. You notice B-Blast having a lot harder time against Tier than he did against Helloing. They're just locking him down as much as possible. You look at the assists, Serrano, 112 there for Exodus. Wando, the top assist for his team in Tier at 66. Huge gap right there. It does look like that Odie is going to have the top damage of the lobby at 4.89 million, 4.6 for Doodoo. Serrano at 4.3, the Terminator himself, the best liberator in North America. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Xerog right there, 4.1 million damage done on a liberator. Again, I don't know what they're feeding this guy. Absolutely insane. Damage taken. This is where you see who is being focused the most in the lobby here, guys. Massive, Phobias, Alcapal, Haler, Waffles, not Gorga. Again, the tanks actually doing their job. getting tanky. Now, most of the time in these top end lobbies, you see, yeah, here we go, PRX getting focused on a spear dagger right here. You see a gladiator CYG on the top of the leaderboards for damage taken as well. Doo-doo Dogwater up here as well. That's because he's being focused on that corny crossbow. 3.4 million damage heal for Al Capel, the top healer of the lobby. Massive right behind him. He was the top healer in the previous lobby. Edmund, Green Velvet, Xanax, Fun, Monk, Gnarly Nard, Waffles, Emmyboo, Jacob, and Hamsters Prevail. All the top healers on the front page of the lobby. What a crazy turnaround. Every single skirmish matters, Moreland.
It's so interesting to see how some of these kind of mirror the statistics that we saw on Grand Elon tier with the overwhelming majority of the healing in that match. I mean, if you look at the healing numbers here, we have several tier healers above 3 million, a few more above 2.5 million. The highest Exodus healer was only 2.4 million. So there is quite a crazy healing gap here, 30, 40, 50% healing gap between the top performing healers. And in the previous match, we saw that healing absolutely come through and clutch the match for tier. Those healers kept everybody alive in the most critical moment possible. But even with that overperforming healing on Manticus, the macro was just different. They were not able to get their guild in position where they needed to catch those heals, and Exodus was able to just hold it down and fortify. You see the similar numbers, but you see a different outcome. It's so interesting how the map can play into that.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mantic is certainly a bit of a coin flip map, and they demonstrated, Exodus demonstrated they cleanly had the better strategy on that map. Pick ban has happened, Moreland, and we have an interesting thing that has happened in this pick ban. Tier, who is supposed to, I mean, you get your choice. When you lose, you get to choose. Most people just choose to pick when they lose. Tier has chosen to ban in this case, which leaves Exodus choosing the final map of this best of 3. That's a crazy strategy. But remember, we cannot see Grand Elon, and we will not see Manticus. That is out too, because those 2 maps have been used. The bans for tier, Morokai, Talus, Kawazan, and Adentis. Clearly, they know which maps they need to keep out of the pool from Exodus here, and giving that priority the choice. And I cannot believe that NA East might come down to this map. I hate it so much. We look like clowns. We're going to Chernobog again.
Wow, Exodus with the Cherno pick. I mean, look, they beat Helloing there, right? I mean, they came back and beat Helloing there. They had a crazy strategy. They beat their toughest opponent so far in the tournament on Cherno. So if they could beat Helloing there, then they could beat tier there, right? I mean, that must be part of the logic here, I guess.
Yeah, what do you mean, I guess? I think what's happening here, I just want to be clear.
I don't know why you picked Cherno.
I have no idea. With all the, just under 500,000 Lucent on the line for your guild, and the title of being the best of the best in the world, or at least in NA East, but we can say in the world because EU is asleep. And NA West might be here too. They might have something to say about that. But at the end of the day, to put, I mean, you got to wheel these people's balls around in a wheelbarrow. I mean, straight up, the balls you have to have in Exodus for picking Chernobog in the final potential map. It is such a coin flip. The kill feeds have been back and forth the entire time between these 2 guilds. It is just flat out a coin flip. They must have a strategy ready to go here over on Exodus. They've played, both guilds have played on this many times. So both guilds are going to know what they're kind of expecting into one another. And we're seeing some of these builds as you mouse over. I don't know if you're mousing over some of the builds here, but some of the builds are definitely shifting for the Chernobog choice here, Moreland.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, you know, you have that Manticus map, which is sort of like a bunker that you can hold. You've got walls in all directions, some environments that you can use, but it really is like a little base headquarters that you can defend, whereas the fight on GA a lot more open. And we saw that when the reinforcements are clean, tier is so good at getting back, getting their healers where they need to be, and they were able to take the cap because of it. You would think that Exodus would want to play one of those, you bunker-ish maps, Kawazan or something like that. I know that one in particular was banned, but perhaps a map where they could just play a little bit more around just a tight group in an environment where you have walls, where you're covering all those different entrances. Cherno, you can't cover at all. Like, they're gonna come back. They're gonna be in your face. They're gonna be taking up space. No matter how many kills you get, they are always going to come back. And we have seen already Hallowing was able to do a crazy last-minute surge against Hexadus on this map. Tier clearly has the strength and the healing to do something similar. So it is quite a ballsy pick. As you said, it's so easy for Tier to get in and get sit up. Even if Exodus gets in initial position, it's so easy to take that back away from them. It's not the map that I would have picked from Exodus here, but at the same time, they do really like playing as a full 48, and maybe this is the map to do that on.
Maybe? I don't... It's crazy. I just don't understand how you can possibly pick how do you... Cherno? I mean, this is everything on the line. You're 1-1. You've got to win this game on both sides. They had to have prepared it. Like, that's the only thing I can think of ahead of time is they're like, okay, if it goes to the third map, we pick the Cherno if we have choice here. And again, that you look over at the bans, Morokai, Talus, Kawazan, Adentis. These are a lot of like the even-ish maps. And clearly, there must be something in there that Tier really do not want to play against Exodus on. Clearly, they have the upper hand. Those are very targeted bans. You don't see an Adentis ban unless you're scared of something on Adentis in this case. So definitely favoring ban here for Tier in this tournament so far. Or I mean, in this particular best of 3 so far, as both guilds continue to join the lobby. You want to talk a little bit about compositions here, because I don't think we've gotten to talk enough about it so far.
So some of these are pretty even. We do see 8 spears on both sides, although so far in this matchup, Exodus does seem like they are getting a lot more value from their spears, especially those gladiators. We are seeing 18 wands on the side of Exodus, 21 wands on the side of Tier. We usually do expect those wands to be, around 20 plus. If you have 2 seekers in every group plus some Templars or Paladins or things like that, wand can easily go 20 plus, but Exodus only running 18 here. Crossbows, we've got 3 on the side of Exodus, 4 on the side of Tier. 2 of those are always going to be Cordies, and the other crossbows are typically Scorpions. Tier does have some absolutely devastating Scorpion players, and we see when we look at the kill feeds, Exodus has a bunch of Gladiators up top, but Tier often has Scorpions up top on their kill feed, so we might see that happen here with those extra 2 Scorpions that they've got. Bows are basically even on both teams. We've got 5 staffs on the side of Exodus, a little bit more than only 3 staffs on Tier. We commented on this in the past in some of Tier's previous matches, but 3 staffs is just such a crazy low amount to run in a fight like this in the meta where it currently is, where Spellblade is so strong. Even Liberator seeing some good value in these high performing guilds, but only 3 staffs out of Tier, a really surprising amount of staffs. I think the lowest of any guild in all of NA East. And then Exodus having 5 extra greatswords, a total of 20 greatswords. Many of those are going to be those gladiators paired up with the spear. Exact same amount of SNSs on both teams, and a similar number of daggers, a few more daggers for Tier though.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, a lot of Darkblighters on the side of Tier here, and they are not equipped with what you would normally think a Darkblighter would be equipped with. Hyder over here running Deckman's Balefire Scepter, which is pretty good, but Peerless Obsidian Razors, normally you see Tevent, so maybe he just didn't have time to acquire a Tevent before the tournament started here. But Vert's got the Tevent on his side over there. We are 48 over 48 on both sides, but guilds requested 2 minutes to speak with their guilds and get their guys in order, get their strategy ready to go on this one. So we are waiting just a moment for that. Again, Darkblighters can technically count a little bit of healing in their kit as well, Moreland. So yeah, just a little bit more healing on the side of Tier over here overall. But I think that both guilds, you look at these, the compositions are almost spot on perfect, aside from just a couple differences here and there. But I think that at the end of the day, this is what the top of the metagame looks like. This is the tippity top. These guys have mastered Talandre. here, and we are going to Chernobog to see these boys compete. It looks like both teams are now ready. They have discussed their strategies and they are ready to go. I am once again going to say that this could be our final deciding map. It is match point for Tier. Again, in this lobby, it does look like the colors are exactly the same. It is 1-1. Tier and Exodus, it's going to come down to Chernobog here. If Exodus wins this, we go to another best of 3. If Tier wins this, it is all over here. And I'll be honest, the kill feed, super back and forth at the start, but Tononi with a 4-man kill feed to bring it back the other way. For Exodus, Moreland, this is cinema.
You can't call it. You look at the kill feeds and you're like, oh, clearly this guild. Oh, nope, never mind. It's the other guild. Just absolute, so much firepower coming out of both of these guys in a meta that was previously notorious for being so slow in terms of getting kills. Now that we are at the tippy top upper echelon most competitive guilds, we're just seeing so many quadruple kills, 6 kills, and it's not just Cordy spins, it's gladiators, it's all different classes, spellblades, it's the spear and dagger as well. It's crazy how many multi-kills these players are able to get at this level.
Yeah, Charlie Mac here on the Invocator, interestingly enough, running the Cordy Wand over there, which is not something you see super often, but honestly is a really good, it's kind of slept on at the end of the day. I know a lot of people know that Cordy Wand is pretty good, but you don't see it paired with the Ebon Staff very often like that, but it's actually very, very good, and I love to see that weapon loadout. Vert coming in here again on this Dark Blighter, stepping into position on the side here, throwing down a good amount of damage for his guild. Frank gonna pick up a good spin on the side of Exodus here, but again, I can't tell you who's necessarily winning, guys. We'll take a look at the leaderboards in just a moment as Competitive gets another kill on the board over there. One of the better Scorpions on the lobby. We did talk a lot before about Chipotle Burrito, but certainly Competitive, very, very good as well. Put some respect on his name. See if I can grab him over there. He's in the corner. There we go. I've got him now. On this Scorpion right here. He's dashing around. You see how much mobility Scorpion actually has. You don't want to be in the middle of everything like that. Yeah, there we go. Stealth steps to the side of the fight, avoids the Cordy damage on the side right there, and then steps back in and starts pumping more damage. Now he's up on the high ground. Look how locked in you really have to be to play this class over here. So Competitive all over the place, just trying to put down as much damage as possible on this Scorpion, because you are fart in the wind, as they like to call it, in terms of how much damage you can actually take, but in terms of how much damage you can deal, you pack quite a punch, Marlon.
I'm watching, and then he just fell over as soon as I was going to call him out. I was watching another one of the Tier Scorpions. The Scorpion is just so good at shutting down respawns, and on a bigger map, they can get so much value. But, the thing about Cherno is the respawn is about 6 inches away from the objective, and so the respawn camping battle and the main battle really just blend together the entire time, which is a tough challenge for these Scorpion players who are used to having to deal with, maybe a couple greatswords running at them. They're not used to seeing a full guild run at them. Very dangerous for them to try to figure out where to position here, but Tier does have 2 of the craziest Scorpion players in the game right now. Even with all that skill, though, I'm still seeing both Chipotle and Competitive really get hunted on these stairs.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you, and I just for a moment, because we're on Cherno and Hellowing picked Cherno like a million times, I know they got knocked out of the tournament, but to the Hellowing listeners at home, I have something that I would like to show to Brandonger. It's his favorite GIF. We asked him, the leader of Hellowing, what his favorite GIF in the entire world was, and he said it was this dancing cat that looks like a minion here. So interestingly enough for Brandonger, what an absolute unit. What a man. Choosing that GIF right there. What a goofball right now. Oh, he's so mad with me. Oh, he's so mad. Trey looking on this Crusader right now on the front line. I legitimately don't know who's winning. 38 seconds left on the clock. It's super back and forth. Look at these defeats, guys. Odie at the top as usual. That's the DPS and Croft's party there. We talk a lot about Croft as well. Tanks, Vicious, DWN, Chipotle, Burrito for tier here. Then it's back the other way. Akko, you didn't block on the Dark Blighter right here. Again, I think he's running Tevin. He is running Tevin, double Tevin. Interestingly enough, fiercely on the Corny right there. Strikex and PRX as well. Very back and forth damage dealt. Again, super back and forth, but favoring more Exodus right now. Interestingly enough, damage taken also favoring Izuna right now. You can see he's getting focused down really hard. So is Bop there. Amount healed. Oh boy. The amount healed for Tier definitely starting to pull away on this one, but damage dealt for Exodus also very high. So again, that's why you can see this is really back and forth. You have the DPS on Exodus battling the healers in Tier right now, as they're just able to pump out so much DPS. The healers have so much work to do, and they are performing right now. The cap has opened up, but neither guild choosing to interact with it. A common theme on Cherno, Morlin.
It is a common theme on Cherno. It's interesting at the same time, though, Blue, because we delayed cap strategy on other maps, and we saw it kind of, almost backfire on Tier on GA, and as a result, the caps on Manticus came out so early. You could tell that neither guild really wanted to stall on that map. So hard to push. But on this map, they have a totally different mentality. We're not seeing anyone even attempt to go for that cap. I suspect they're going to run the clock down at least to the 15-minute mark or so before they even bother touching it at all. They're just going for kills in the meantime.
Yeah, dude, they're going to edge us all the way to the finish line of this one. This could be the final match. This could be the final round of the Best in Guild tournament worldwide, guys. This has certainly been the biggest event of my creator career I've put on for any game that I've ever made content for, and has been the pleasure of my career so far. So if this is the last match, God, it's been a hell of a ride, and I have loved this. But you see, both guilds very back and forth. I could not ask for a closer, better cinematic ending to the tournament in the world than we are seeing right before our eyes right now. You see the boys in Tier with some of those Cho Nation boys battling for their lives, battling for their right to claim the title in not one but two games over here. But Exodus, they just will not go down without a fight. Jinshi, I wonder now, normally when I look at Jinshi's name, I think of Wuthering Waves, but there was also a Jinshi in Vertex a long time ago as well. And then Croft, also from Vertex. I'm wondering if this is just, we're seeing a lot of ex-Vertex member potentially coming in here, fighting the good fight here. Interesting. No. Look, I love Wuthering Waves. We're not. No. I'm not a weeb. The combat is super good. I don't want to hear it. Okay, I love this name. Please do not redeem. Over here on the healer, doing a solid job consistently. One of the better healers in the lobby for Tier right now, and he's positioned in a really good spot. Neither guild interacting with the stone quite yet. We're at the 17-minute mark. I would expect it a little bit closer to the 12-minute mark. We might see guilds start to interact with it.
Yeah, they are really going to wait as long as they can here to try to prevent that back cap. The back cap on Cherno is just such a constant threat. But this is a good opportunity to highlight some of these healers. Blue, I've got Green Velvet's position here. One of my former guildies from earlier in T2. Just an absolute amazing healer and so hard to take down. A really aggressive positioning. This is a player that you're going to see playing close to the cap. Always playing the objective when it is up. They haven't taken the cap yet, but nonetheless, Green is going to be exactly where he needs to be. He's going to be probably in the top 2 or 3 of every single one of the, and of course he gets what is going to be, I assume, one of his only deaths in the match as soon as I start trying to spectate and glaze him. But we see, some of these healers are just so unkillable, so hard to take down, not just keeping their teammates alive, but keeping themselves alive as well. It's always a bit of a meme that as soon as I spectate someone, they fall over. But nonetheless, some phenomenal healers on the side of Tier here made the difference for sure on GA and could very easily make the difference here.
Absolutely. Charlie Mack firing away as one of the last invocators in the tournament over here, doing what he can to try to put down damage. I think he's had the same positioning basically the entire game along here, and his static certainly backing him up in the corner, throwing down a good amount of damage here, but it is so back and forth. I mean, both kill feeds, look, there's a red kill feed. Boom, there's a, oh my gosh, Strikex with a massive spin right there as I say that. So getting a huge kill feed for Tier. Axebot on the high ground. Interestingly enough, this guy has put down so much damage. It's a Crusader, Grey Eyes Great Sword, and Queen Bellandussi's Languishing Blade right there is his build. But this guy puts actually, I mean, he tanky, but like he also puts down a lot of damage on this Crusader.
I've got Fiercely's perspective now, Blue. I'm trying to see if those Exodus Cordies are going to get some value here. Again, both of these guilds just know exactly who they should be targeting on the other side. But Fiercely looking really strong, charging up the stairs, took a little bit of burst and then just healed it right back up. His group is going to be watching him, trying to keep him safe so that he can get that value. Exodus Cordies maybe historically have not gotten quite as much value as some of the Cordies in the other top guilds, but this is the guild that is known for constantly tweaking, improving, figuring out what they're doing wrong. And so even if he's not historically one of the best Cordy players, it would not surprise me if as an Exodus player he does not emerge as one of the best Cordy players by the end of this tournament. And we're seeing just some really strong play from Fiercely here, staying alive on the cap for a tremendous amount of time. You got to know that everybody is looking at him and wanting to prevent him from playing the game right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on offense now on the side of Tier here, and you can see he's running. Well, he was. Oh, wow. Interesting. He's running Del Nazoas now over the Naru we talked about before. And he gets shoved off the edge right there. But again, constantly swapping weapons out depending on the map that they're actually going for. He was one of the people, again, they just go back and forth, I suppose. But depending on which map they need to, look, I'm not going to talk about itemization is something that as a shot caller, I expect my players to know what items they need to be running at any point in time. You just need to come up with the strategy. You got a lot of other stuff to focus on here. So I'll leave it to them. I do think that Del Nazoas, I agree with that choice on this map here, Moreland. How about you?
I think it's a very good pick. I mean,
it's really good.
Anything that you can do to oh wow, actually real quick though, Blue, Tier is making a pretty crazy decisive push here on the objective. Do you think they're finally getting to go for the cap? I saw a pretty yellow feed and some positioning as if they were going to kind of cut off the stairs here. I'm not seeing a lot of Exodus on the platform. They're still not going for it though. They're still waiting it out. Are they just going to wait until there's 10 minutes left?
I said 12 minutes was when we would probably start to see people interacting with the point. I doubt that we see it go down to 10 minutes. I think the guilds are going to want to start to get that going. We see Juju Dogwater standing by the point right now. I would expect it in the next 40 or so seconds that we see the first interaction come down. I could be wrong about that. Who knows at this point? It has come down to the wire, but I don't know about you, Moreland. I would want to at least get the cap going early on in this one so that you can start to snowball that percentage a little bit, because you know it's going to take a while to get on top of this one. We are seeing Tier come out with some really big yellow kill feeds time and time again here. Remember, it was Exodus that chose this stone, so clearly they have to have something prepared for this stone. We take a look, we're ticked down to the 12-minute mark. Nope, no interaction quite yet. Look at the leaderboards right now. Tier definitely more kills on the leaderboard overall, but Exodus leading them. Damage dealt, again, Exodus higher on this. The amount healed, though, Tier's healers doing a phenomenal job. Damage taken, very back and forth, but Tier favored there as well. Now we're ticking underneath the 12-minute mark here. It's starting to get a little bit dicey.
It is starting to get a little bit dicey. I mean, Cherno is a map where it can get dicey very quickly and very easily. I would think at this point, get the cap going. Worst case scenario, you can feather this cap pretty easily. You can just step off onto the stairs and try to control respawns if you don't want the cap to go up too quickly. Now we're finally seeing it begin to channel, but only on the side of Exodus. Will Tier immediately go for the counter cap? That is usually what we see on this map, is that within seconds, the other guild will try to get their counter going as well. I do think you got to start contributing to the point. You can't wait any longer. Again, if it goes too fast, it's very easy on this map to just step off.
Yeah, so the problem here is that if you don't initiate this, Exodus starts to snowball their percentage over the top of you. And if they feather this for a particularly long time, you won't have time to reverse cap this. So about 11:20, I was pretty close. I said right around the 12-minute mark, 11:20, I was 40 seconds off or so. That's pretty close overall. But again, I think that this is the better strategy, in my opinion. Exodus going to go ahead and take control of the stone. I think the tier has intentionally pulled off the stone right now. You see a lot of people, never mind, they're gonna flood back onto the stone here. They get up to 45% though, and again, Exodus in the driver's seat of this one. They can get this really close to the edge, and just like we saw Hellowing do against Exodus, now Exodus can do this now to tier, because all they need to do is get within striking distance. Brad Donger and his boys over in Hellowing probably nodding their heads going, yep, all you got to do is get within striking distance. Finally, at the 10-minute mark, we're going to see the cap come down for tier here, and they're going to try to get on top of this percentage, but they're 20% behind. They got some work to do, Marlon.
I was surprised how easily Tay was able to get that cap. One of the tier tanks just walking right up to the stone and tagging it, didn't get blasted, didn't get pulled off. You would expect that in a scenario like this, Exodus is going to try to keep tier off for as long as possible, but Tay was just able to sneak right up in there, and now tier getting a tremendous amount of contribution. We are getting into the second half of the match now, so if you get the cap here, a reverse cap is going to be extremely difficult, exponentially more difficult the closer that we get to the end of the match. So stopping a cap would have been huge, but they kind of just let it slip through, and now that contribution looking really close, Blue.
We are not going to see a reverse cap. There will not be enough time for either guild. It's going to tick down. I guarantee you this cap happens down underneath 4 minutes probably on this one, and that just will not be enough time to flip it around on Cherno. Even with Guardians and a really solid push, 4 minutes is not enough time to dominate the stone, and this is close enough that I think whoever gets this cap off wins. And I'll be real, we might not even see a cap. For this first time worldwide, it is very possible that we see a guild not actually cap the stone, and in that event, guys, the higher percentage will win at the end of the day. So it's going to come down. It could come down to percentage. It could come down. Look at this. It is literally back and forth, 45% to 34%. And again, you have to lend that extra 10% to Exodus capping earlier than tier did. And now again, they're going to cap up to 50% or so. Yeah, there we go. Capping over 50% now. They're getting close to within range now. I'll be honest, if I'm Exodus right now, you just saw a big red kill feed, pop Guardians, take the stone right now. I actually think that they could just win on this right here. I don't think that tier is going to have enough time to come back and reverse cap this, because again, it's going to be a minute or two before you get the stone. Then you can stall them for a minute or two. That's going to leave about 4 minutes on the clock to go from 0 to 100%. That's almost impossible to do. It is technically possible, but not on something like Chernobog here, Marlon.
Yeah, it's just so easy to get bodies on the point when it comes to Cherno. You can get that one huge push, and you might be able to have twice as many people as your opponent for a few seconds there, but they're going to respawn and get back so quickly. So it's going to take multiple pushes usually to get that bar moving closer to 100. I think you're right. I don't think there is enough time for a reverse cap here. This percentage bar that we are seeing is the progress towards winning. And for tier, it is the percentage towards winning the entire tournament. This is, if they win here, this is it. Exodus does not get another chance. Both guilds fighting for survival here. And I mean, just look at that bar. They're pretty much just parallel, Blue.
Yeah, absolutely 50-50 across the board, but tier is pulling ahead. Under the 7-minute mark, they finally get on top of the stone. Huge wipe on their side. 35 people standing on the point right now, and it looks like Exodus in absolute shambles. Frank running around the outside of the fight, wondering where the rest of his guild went. They do manage to rally back to the point right now, but Invuln keeps pulling them right back off every single time they get close. They're up at 72, 73%. They are on the cusp of victory right now. They are within 25% of taking this. They're the ones that are in striking distance. They've got Guardians running right now, and they must agree this is striking distance and go. Right now, they're just standing on the point. There's not much Exodus can do about it, though, because Exodus did not pop all of their cooldowns on this one. They're going to take it all the way home. Tier takes it, and now Exodus has under 6 minutes to prevent Tier from being crowned kings in NA East, Moreland.
That was such an incredible push from Tier, and that is really all it takes. Such a quick cap again from Exodus getting back on the board, but Blue, unless they play harder than they have played the entire tournament, getting this full cap off in the next 5 minutes is extraordinarily unlikely. We said the same thing about Tier on Grand Alon, though, and they were able to slip that reverse cap in with 15 seconds left. This is it, though. Tier are the guild that is ahead, so Exodus is absolutely fighting for the last chance they have of getting that Lucent and getting that glory. 5 minutes is not a lot of time, but it is enough to make it happen if they have a crazy push like Tier did. All they have to do is flip that script. One insane push, you get some of that double contribution, and you have those remaining minutes to finish it off. We saw Tier use their Guardians. We saw Tier do that crazy push. Maybe Exodus still has theirs. Maybe they still have some fuel in the tank in order to do this. Blue, that bar is looking kind of green.
I'll be honest with you, 30% in climbing. They are on pace to reverse cap this instant. Gets knocked down right at the end there. That Spellblade, one of the best in the lobbies, one of the best in the world right there. He gets blasted off the point. 31% and climbing. They don't have a minute to lose. 4.5 minutes left on the clock. They're going to try to Tier this entire situation right now as Exodus battling for everything they've got left in the tank on this one. They're trying to lay it on the line. 4 minutes on the clock. 4:15 to be exact. I think every second will matter. You see 32 members of Tier trying to rally onto the point right now. Slowly getting wiped off. Karoom gets a big kill feed right there. Strikex with a spin as well, but it's B-Blast with a huge kill feed back on the other side for Exodus right there. Very red kill feed. Xerog, Frank with a big spin there as well. They climb over 36% now. Huge red kill feed on the side of Exodus as they continue to climb just under 4 minutes right now. Do I see 40%? The kill feed is all red, but can they stay on top? They just need one more person on the point than their opponents. 42% in climbing. They are on pace right now, Moreland.
We said that a 5-minute cap is going to be highly unlikely, but Exodus could be the guild capable of doing what is nearly impossible here, getting such a short reverse cap against Tier. That bar is going up so much faster than we expected, Blue, and I think possibly faster than Tier expected too. They must have thought that locking the stone down with 6 or 7 minutes left would surely guarantee victory, and I think we all watching thought that as well, but Exodus might be coming in with the upset here. It is amazing how much progress they've been able to put on the bar so far.
Yeah, absolutely. 40% though, they're stalling at the 40% marker under 3 minutes. They cannot afford to stall right now. They need everything on the line. They just need 1 or 2 really solid kill feeds to carry them through. And we should see their Guardians and Remedies popped out right now is when we should see that from Exodus here. And again, Tier just holding on for dear life, trying to cling to victory in this matchup. And they just barely are managing to do so. 2.5 minutes left on the clock. The percentage is stalled at 34% and falling. Exodus running out of time, Moreland.
I'm watching Vert here on the side of Tier just play so aggressively as that Darkbiter Blue. He is on top of the cap, not even close to the edges of this. He is going to make his feet count on this point, even while playing such a squishy DPS class. Maybe has a little bit of self-healing, but I guarantee you he is spec'd fully into damage here. Finally going down, but shout out to Vert for having such aggressive positioning there. He is not going to sit on the sideline when the fight is this close.
The Guardian pop has come through for Exodus right there, and that's what you saw, that huge kill feed on that side right there. They blasted down Vert and everybody else off the Riftstone, but they only get up to 47% on that push. 1.5 minutes left on the clock. They technically have enough time, but they have got to start pulling away. Tier might just be crowned kings of NA East at this point. These guys were kings of Black Desert. Now they might end up being kings of Throne and Liberty, but honestly, we're going to see them tick over 50%. It's all the way down to the wire. This is exactly what we saw from Tier in the first match. Minute and 10 seconds left on the clock. They're going to get over 50% and begin to climb right now. They have 27, 29 people on the point, 53% in climbing. They have got to stay on top of this. 36 people over 25 right now. They need a big kill feed, and they need it right now. That's a really good feed right there. B-Blast coming in big as well. 59% and climbing, Moreland. What are we watching?
Every single kill just has so much importance here, Blue, when it's this close. If you can get that edge over Tier, even for just 15 seconds, just get that contribution up. You're so close, approaching the end. Tier did it to you. Now it's your turn to do it to them. It is definitely possible,
70,
even in these
71.
final seconds, but it's so close.
71, 72, 20 seconds on the clock. They're pushing everything they've got in the tank. 75, 15 seconds on the clock. It's going to come down to the final second. They're going to get over 80. They have almost 2 times as many people on that point right now. 37 people, 80%. The time's going to run out. Exodus has run out. It's Tier, crowned kings of North America East, all the way to the finish line. Unbelievable cinematic finish. Tier will bring it all the way home from the winner's bracket. They will never see the loser's bracket of this tournament. What an unbelievable photo finish for Tier right there. Odie, top kills of the lobby for 47 for Exodus. Cannot be understated. That might just be one of the best. Might just want to be one of the best DPSs in North America. Right there, competitive Doo-Doo Dogwater, Serrano, Izuna, Frank, Akko, Rarkar, CYGG, DWN, and Kyrum all rounding out the front page for their guilds here. 118 assists for Solvray, 104 for Rarkar right now. 6.5 million for Ensign from Exodus. You can see the damage dealt favored Exodus here. Serrano, Akko, Solvray, Vert, the top DPS for Tier, playing from like an internet cafe laptop. Very impressive. Rarkar, Strikex down there, Doo-Doo Dogwater, all the top DPS on this side of Tier. It looks like Odie and Izuna and CYGG gonna round out the top of the front page for damage dealt on the side of Exodus right there. Phobias, top damage taken in the lobby on a Crusader. Don't see that every day anymore, but that should be what we see in most cases. B-Blast coming in at number 2. Bop, Izuna, Xanax, Crunk God, Massive, and Odie, CYGG, Jacob, and Akko all rounding out the top of damage taken. You can see just how much these guys were getting focused down in that lobby right there. So very impressive to see them come up with the victory. 4 million damage taken for Xanax there. I mean, for damage healed there for Xanax, one of the best healers in the game in NA East. Green Velvet, Edmund, Massive, Al Capal, Jacob, Nate, Jass, AP Gonzo, Emmy Boo, Funk Monk, and Clover, all rounding out the top of the front page right here as the best healers in NA East. Unbelievable finish, Marlon.
That was so close, Blue. You really cannot ask for a better final series of matches between those guilds. Some extraordinarily close fights there. I really thought Exodus was gonna flip it on him there at the end in those last 15 seconds, but Tier just so strong, especially with the healing. I think we just have to give an extra shout out to the Tier healers. We saw it on the leaderboard, but it's crazy how many of those Tier healers are ahead by just millions of healing, and that is what won the entire tournament. I think the healer difference decides it the whole thing tonight for NA East. It comes down to those just incredible performing healers. 4 million versus most of the healers from these other guilds capping out at like 2.5 to 3 at most.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I said the healers from Tier look like they're just carrying this like goats in that lobby, because Exodus looked like they were pumping out a ton of damage. And the healers just came up just barely with it. They got to 83% on the cap. I think 10, 15 more seconds, Moreland, we're going to another best of 3 here. That's how close these guys were. And remember, Exodus lost by 20 seconds, being the difference in the first round on Grand Alon. 20 seconds. was the difference for Exodus in both the matches that they lost. Just such a narrow loss right there. We're gonna pull in, we have Funk Monks here from Exodus. Buddy, nail-biting losses right there. You guys are still kings of everyone else in North America East, and certainly one of the strongest guilds in the world on the Talandre expansion. How are you guys feeling right now? Those had to be heartbreaking losses.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're definitely a bit bummed out, but at the end of the day, you know, we had a lot of fun. And yeah, those matches were definitely nail biters for sure. That first one was a heartbreaker.
I'm so sorry, man. Yeah, it is what it is. But here's the deal. You guys can walk away with your heads held high. NA East had some of the highest participation we've ever seen. 45 guilds signed up to come to this tournament, and you guys are number 2 here. Your leadership core, second best in the game, at least for NA East, potentially one of the very best in the entire world here, Funk Monk. That's gotta feel good. You walk away with your heads held high on that one. Do you have anything to say to your boys and girls in your guild, and maybe your leadership people you want to give thank yous to?
Oh, for sure. I mean, our leadership core with Sovereign, our shot caller, Mead, who's created strategies, Odovin, who did a lot of the VODs, Sabre, who did all the spreadsheets for us and all the announcements. I mean, this was a community effort through and through, and it wasn't just our leadership core. Every single member who put in all those hours and VOD reviews. I mean, honestly, our Discord was popping up with VOD reviews every day. So all those guilds that had copium about whether or not there was some like shady business coming along in Exodus, none of that is true. We would have caught it and we would have kicked them out immediately. So don't have copium. We practiced a lot, and we got here through practice and skills and whatnot. So yeah, I mean, honestly, that is what I'm most proud of, is just how far we've gotten over the past month and how much effort we put in.
Yeah, you guys came out of nowhere. Exodus did not exist in T1. To come out in T2 and be this strong, certainly you guys were probably playing, but to come out in T2, be this strong, and come together as a leadership core and be that strong, super, super impressive. Now I'm going to ask a question that I ask pretty much all of our tournament finishers here. I know that AGS and the developers are watching from home right now. Could you please be very respectful, but tell them what you loved so much about Talandre, but maybe what you could see improved on the game?
Sure, of course. Yeah, I mean, Talandre was definitely a lot of fun. There was a lot of new gear sets, and honestly, like, some of the changes they did with the 2 different types of art bosses, I was a pretty big fan of that. The thing the game needs right now, in my opinion, is just something for people to do other than, you know, arch bosses and bosses, because nobody is really participating in those because there's no real like loot involved. So like, I think that we need like, I know they're doing the 6v6 ranking system. I mean, more of this type of stuff, you know, more of like 48 versus 48 type of ranking system. I don't know, like the game definitely needs something for people wanting to log into. And I mean, honestly, the game is a lot of fun, and you know, a lot of things that could still be improved. But yeah, honestly, the best part of Talandre for us was this tournament and preparing for this tournament. So more community events like this would be amazing.
Absolutely. Why? I very much appreciate you guys coming out and participating in my tournament. I'm always nervous when I put out a tournament. The thing I'm most nervous about, people coming out to participate in it. So the fact that NA East showed up the way they did and brought all the guilds out was absolutely what made the tournament worth it for me. Certainly wasn't money. We didn't make any of that, but that is fine. It was super fun. Yeah, no, it was a super fun tournament. The privilege of my career so far to put this on for the 3 regions here. So I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts about the game right there. Do you have any closing thoughts that you'd like to add here before I ask the final question?
Yeah, I just want to thank all of our practice partners. I mean, we practice against every guild out there. I want to thank all of you guys. It was enjoyable all because of you guys, you know? And I want to thank you, the organizers, AGS, for hosting this event. I mean, that's a pretty bold move for AGS to be promoting a community-oriented event like this. So that's really awesome of AGS to do that. And I want to thank all of our members. We put in a lot of work, and I hope you guys all had a lot of fun. It was a real great time for me, at least. Right on. And my final question. As the second place guild in NA East, how do you feel that NA East would stack up? Certainly you're at the top of the metagame. You know a crazy amount about the game. You've mastered Talandre more than anyone else. And you've seen these other regions playing. How do you think we would stack up against NA West? And how do you think that NA East stacks up against EU? Oh, that's an easy question. We're definitely on top. There's no chance EU or NA West would ever beat us. Honestly, like NA West in particular, no shade on. Actually, you know what? All the shade, dude. Our 15th guild would beat the top NA East guild. Like, that's how I truly feel. And EU, honestly, there's some good players there, but NA East is on top, 100%. That's crazy. The GM of the winning guild for NA West is in the chat right now. we would like to have a word with him. So certainly we're hoping for a cross-server event, maybe at least between NA East and NA West would be really cool. And then again, if NA wanted to fight EU, they could always run it from the Korean servers. That way everybody has terrible ping. And, hey, it is possible. That's what they do in other games as well. So that'd be really cool. Thank you so much for coming on for the interview. I'm sorry about the tough loss. You guys fought your hearts out. It was a nail-bitingly close series right there. Could have gone either way. Sadly, you didn't come up with it at the end, but I appreciate you coming out. No, I appreciate you as well, man. Thank you. All right. And now, for the undisputed champions of the world, we have Tears Invulnerable here with us now, the champions of NA East, all of the Lucent, all of the glory, all of the hard work coming to fruition right here. Invuln, those were nail-biting matches, down to within 20 seconds in not one but two matches on today. How are you guys feeling right now?
Bro, you know what? The first interview we had, honestly, I was kind of sleepy. I was like, I'm ready for a match, blah, blah, blah. But after those matches, man, I think that must have been the craziest, like, just PvP matches I've been a part of, like, GVG aspect, in, like, a long time. I don't know. I'm honestly shaking. I thought I wouldn't be, like, this, like, in a way emotional. But I'm shaking, dude. I was stressed. I was super hyper focused trying to do that. Honestly, great fights in general. Exodus, as you can see, like really strong, especially a lot of their like the amount of DPS and damage their guild outputs, their bombs are just incredible in general. But yeah, it was a great fight, man. Like, I'm just still trying to get over it. I'm a little bit stressed out still. Right on.
Invuln, what do the comms sound like in those final 20 seconds of those matches? Are you guys screaming? Is it quite like, do people know what they're doing? Are there multiple people talking? What's the vibe?
I think, honestly, well, we heard one scream and it was so distorted, I don't even know what he was saying. But in general, everyone was like, just a sigh of relief in a way. It was like I think everyone was under so much pressure and everyone was in their own like kind of group comms screaming, and and I was super excited myself.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Do you have a fan on in the background right now? By your microphone is definitely a little scuffed. It sounds like there's a fan, but maybe it's just static. Who knows? Either way, those comms had to be absolutely ballistic. The fact that you're shaking is the reason that I like to put on tournaments like this. I love to put it all on the line and make those gaming moments happen for people that they're going to remember for a long time like this. So really, really cool to see you guys come out and win this thing. And I gotta say, Cho Nation are generational talents, man. The guys in Cho and the people that came out with them, Vert and Gorga and all of the rest of them over there coming over. They were dominant in Black Desert Online for 6 years or more. Then they come over to Throne and Liberty. They did not win the Best in Guild T1 tournament. They stuck with it. The mental on these guys is this You gotta have an iron stomach to deal with the amount of shit talk that these guys dealt with, and they made it through, showing up in T2. They narrowly won today, but they did prove they have conquered Talandre, they have conquered Throne and Liberty. Very, very cool to see. So definitely really wild. Invol, do you have anything to say to your guild and your leadership core that has helped carry you to this point? Because it's a full-time job for that leadership core to bring you this far, and to get you across the finish line here. All the people logging in, just barely getting here in some cases, making sure that they keep doing that grind, keep staying fresh with the metagame, and up to date with everything that's going on, all the VODs that you have to review. What do you have to say to those guys?
I mean, dude, realistically, like, for example, Ver, as someone, he had like a family reunion that was planned for a year. I'm pretty sure he left early just to be here for the tournament. A lot of us, we made little sacrifices to get into the tournament. A lot of us were just locked in. We put in a lot of hard work. A lot of us in general, just as a community, I think Tier in general is a great community. We would just literally late night, 5 a.m. was our like prime time in Tier. We would just be in comms, watching VODs. In general, once again, shout out to Inflict. He probably watches like 10 hours of VODs himself every fight. The dude is just insane at watching VODs. And there's definitely some smart heads on the leadership and stuff. I mean, as you've seen throughout the tournament, we've had some like pretty great strategy, I would say, in general. I think a lot of the ways we've kind of won a lot of matches is going to be based off our strategy. Our strategy was always, I think, some of the best strategy, in my opinion, in the tournament. And I think it did a lot for us in general, even though, our players are all pretty individually skilled.
All right. Right on. Well, good to hear that. Certainly. Exodus coming up short today, but oh, so barely, you guys, just narrowly on top of that one. Very, very cool to see. I do have two more questions for you. If you Invol, you're a streamer too, in this case, so I would trust that you will be respectful with it. But if you could check, I mean, you made a video recently, you guys can check it out on his YouTube about his thoughts about what's wrong with the game currently. But if you had direct feedback that you wanted to give the devs, what did you love so much about Talandre, and then what feedback would you give them to kind of improve the game that we all love so much here?
Okay, so I think the best aspect of this game, in my personal opinion, is probably the build making. Like the amount of 14D chess we have to do when it comes to being at the high end, because the builds in this game are just super well designed in a way. Things counter each other. There's not ever 100% the best build in the game, and that makes it very interesting. We had to figure out, do we run hits because they're running melee evasion? Do we run collision? Just the mechanics of the game are super interesting when it comes to build versus build, and that kind of goes into the strategy of it as well. In general, though, I have the best thing to say is I've made a video, like you just mentioned. You guys may want to watch it. It's called the Death of Throne and Liberty. It's actually not much of a doomer video. It's actually explaining the whole timeline and fundamentally, what the issues are. Wait 1 second. Yeah, in general, you probably guys should check that video out. It's got everything, in my opinions, but there is definitely a few aspects. Like, for example, I believe the time gating should be removed in a whole. With fundamental reworks, I believe there should be battlegrounds, right, chat? Beast mode, right, chat? Fucking battlegrounds. Sorry, swore. Besides that, yeah, just watch the video, guys. It's got a lot of info on it.
Right on. Okay, just just watch the video.
Yeah, watch it twice for the algorithm.
Yeah, true. Just watch the video, he said. All right, well, that's interestingly enough. All right, now for my final question involved. Thanks for sharing your thoughts on the game. You guys have certainly conquered the metagame here on NA East, Kings and Queens of Talandre. So definitely know the most about the game in terms of a player base overall. Your mastery of the game is pretty undisputed. You watch these other regions. I know you've been tracking the other tournaments. How do you feel that NA East stacks up against NA West and EU if there were to be an inter-server siege?
That's a tough one. Okay, so you want my honesty here? You want my honesty? I believe our meta for a long time and what specifically our guild has been doing, and as you might have noticed throughout the tournament, it is collision. Collision in this game is very broken. And in general, I believe our guild is like would do a lot against every would dominate every other guild in like every region. Our collision game is insane. I think that's the biggest meta in this game. The collision will keep people off cliffs. You saw it against Supple especially. Supple didn't expect the builds that we had and the amount of people getting hooked off, etc. But in general, yeah. Oh, my guild's getting pissed off at me. Sorry.
Okay. Do you think EU wins or do you think NA East wins?
And I think we beat EU. 100%.
How badly?
I don't know. I can't say how badly. I would say in general, I would love to see it. Maybe I'll be surprised, but I just think we're good at what we do. So
yeah, I can hear the chat.
Let's just say that. I'm trying to be nice. I'm trying to be nice. So let's just say
okay,
I'm looking at the chat.
All right. What about NA West? How do you feel that NA East stacks up? So you think we're better than EU? Do you think they're better than NA West? And keep in mind, the GMs of NA West are watching.
Yeah, I'm trying to be nice here, but I think we would dumpster every other region. There you go. That's the honesty. That's the honest truth. It is what it is. Okay, wait. Sorry. I played KR, right? I know all the best players from every region. I've played with all the best players because EU, NA, West, East, everywhere were like together on the Korean region. I know how strong these players are. I've seen things. We win easy.
All right, we win easy, he says. Yeah, I mean, that's what EU said about us. That's what NA West said about both the other two regions as well. I hope that we get the cross server. That would be so cool to see on both sides. Either way, huge congratulations to Invol and everybody in tier for winning and taking home that Lucent. We'll be in touch with your leadership course to see just how that's going to get distributed. Congratulations to everybody at home. Invol, thanks for coming out and talking with us.
No problem, man. GG's Exodus.
All right. Okay, and now we're gonna do, now I do want to give some special thank yous, guys. This is the final broadcast of the Best in Guild Talandre Championship Series worldwide. This is the closing chapter for all three regions have now concluded at this point. And so I have a lot to say, but I will hold that until right after I finish my thank yous here. We'll finish that. Let's do the thank yous first. Can everybody in chat give us a hi for the tournament director? Wave hi to our tournament director, Lucy. Thank goodness he was here today. Senior Chief Dragon for showing up as well. And then with Note and everybody else that helped moderate the chat and help keep the production running, help keep the tournament going and things in line, keeping that as professional as possible, given the fact that we're managing 6,000 people here. Really appreciate you guys. And then I also want everybody to give us a WAGS, because without AGS fronting the prize pool for this tournament, which is just south of 20,000 US dollars worth of Lucent, and then all of the unique drops that they had for the tournament, I don't think it would have been possible to put the tournament on, because I don't have $20,000 laying around that I can put up for the tournament. Certainly, I had the 600 hours. I was willing to put that in free of charge on that, but without AGS, it just wouldn't be possible. So I know that AGS does get a lot of flack, but you guys got to understand, I think that these are some of the best publishers for a game I have ever seen, and certainly how they support community events and everything. You look over at NCSoft, they've certainly made a great game here as well, and I appreciate them making changes to the spectate feature and everything else they did to help make the tournament a much better viewing experience for literally everybody at home. I think that people understate that. You've also got like the healing change in the middle of the tournament so that we could see just who the top healers of the lobby were. Really appreciate that as well. And then finally, to my absolutely goated caster, the man who was here more than anyone else. I think you represented all three regions. Maybe you may have missed NA West, but I'm pretty sure you were there for at least EU a couple times in there as well. But my man, Morlin, where can they find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. I'm generally streaming on both of those places, making some videos here and there as well. Morlin TV everywhere, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so he streams on YouTube and Twitch. I think you're doing a subathon right now.
I'm doing a subathon right now. I've been live for like 36, 37 hours, something like that. So I will be heading right back into that when we are done with this. And there's still some time left, so I don't know how long it's going to keep going. People can extend it unlimited amounts like they have in the past. So yeah, we're going to be gaming all weekend, hopefully, maybe even into the week if people decide that's what they want to see. But yeah, I've already been live for quite a while, and hope we can keep it going. This was a lot of fun, though, man. It was worth taking the break from the subathon and coming through for this. Thank you for having me. It was worth, leveling up the characters on EU and everything. Like this was so fun, dude. These final matches were crazy. The whole NA East bracket just had so many surprises. Being bought into these guilds, being a member of some of these guilds in the past and such, dude. It was just so good to see these stories unfold. I'm really happy that you put all this together. I don't think anyone has any idea what kind of work this guy had to do behind the scenes. Yes, you have people helping you out, but I mean, everyone, like, it's crazy the amount of effort that goes into this production. So yeah, amazing work from AGS, especially amazing work from our host here, Blue. This is going to be a memory for a lot of people, man. Very well done.
Thank you so much, Morlin. I appreciate you. I look forward to working with you more in the future. I appreciate you pulling through for me when some other people had dropped out for me. You were always there. I appreciate you so much, man. Guys, I'm about to talk about the breakdown from the tournament right after this, but from all of us here I'm going to hit the end scene, guys, and then we're going to go over to my main scenes, and I'm going to talk about the tournament a little bit here and kind of what went on behind the scenes. But from all of us here on the caster desk, guys, I hope that you had a phenomenal tournament. I hope that you loved the event. If you're on YouTube, make sure you like the video, subscribe, because all of these videos go up on YouTube. I always have Throne and Liberty content on YouTube alongside my Black Desert Online, Chrono Odyssey, and now we're going to be pumping in Guild Wars 2 as well. So we're covering a lot of different games and news and stuff like that as well. So I appreciate all of the support that you guys gave me during the tournament. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great rest of your evening.